Hey, I'm Nashi.
I'm Rezlar.
And I'm Frosty. Welcome back to the Value Pack.
Hold on, I have to gear check Nash right now. Alright, that is some bull jabber. Dude, he CC'd me how to dance. What's happening? Rezlar!
People look at you like you're crazy, and they refuse to admit that it's pay to win, and just scream that it's pay to convenience! It's pay to convenience!
Big money, big money, big money,
Big money! Oh shit, we got it! We fucking got it! And welcome everybody to another episode of the Value Pack. Listen, I know every time I say we gotta keep it short, we end up not keeping it short. We literally are forced to keep it short this episode because the tournament's going on today. And we got some stuff that we gotta do. We're gonna be participating in the tournament, not as what's the word I'm looking for? Contestants, but as casters, right, Frosty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
yeah.
Don't lie, they're gonna postpone it for the podcast.
Right.
4 hours later.
We literally have to keep it short today. So when I say we have a short show today, I literally mean it. We have no other choice. That being said, holy hell, a lot of changes today that we are going to have some in-depth discussion about. But first, like thank our lovely patrons. Hawaiian, I Has Issues, Jeremy Johnson, Calahad, Melt on Your Mouth, Minaria, Slide Tech, Talus, Acceptum, and thanks. Appreciate you guys for supporting us, as well as the Twitch subscribers on all of our individual channels. Okay, so man, wow, some shit hit the fan this week. Intern came through clutch, and everyone's really upset about it. So let's talk about grabs being nerfed into oblivion.
Well, hold on. I wouldn't say that. But we'll get into the discussion.
Some of the people, some of the takes I've seen do sound like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Some of the other takes say it's going to be bladers all over the place, murdering everybody.
I've noticed there's a lot of guardians that are guardians on suicide watch right now.
Yeah. I have strong reason to believe, based on weird hidden changes on Global Labs, that a lot of the other classes are also going to get changes, including Guardian and Hash. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So I'm gonna go first from their dev note, just the grab portion, and then I'll skip over to the actual notes for the grabs. But basically, they released a dev note that kind of explains some of the direction of some of these topics that I believe we mentioned last week that were on the Global Labs, that they mentioned at the top in the blue text that they usually do.
Yep.
Where they said they were going to address grabs, guards, difference in PvE, summons, the defense effects, debuffs, CCs for each class, 3-minute buffs, and basic passives and resists. And starting with grabs, and this shit happened way faster than I thought it was going to happen. I thought this was going to be like, we weren't going to see anything for, I don't know, I honestly thought maybe the Calpheon Ball on the 11th, but no, just last week, while we're all waiting for the reworks to see what happens. They say grab is a powerful CC effect that ignores the opponent's defensive effects, while guard is a powerful defense skill that is difficult to overcome in PvP. These two topics have always been hotly discussed. When we discussed them internally, we couldn't only consider the implications to 1v1 PvP, but had to consider the bigger implications to large-scale PvP as well. Many adventurers have voiced their concerns regarding grabs and guard, but we're unable to make changes to these as they constituted a core feature of the class that had them. We do, however, agree that these mechanics need to be addressed along with other changes coming with the class reboot. Therefore, we've decided to change them accordingly. First off, grabs for all classes will be the change so they no longer have any defensive effects during the grab attempt, but will instead be given super armor during successful grab animations. Grab cooldowns will also be adjusted to 15 seconds or more, but this will vary depending on the class, depending on the grab skills strength of each class. As grab skills always allow adventurers to CC their opponents, we increase the risk of using such powerful effects in order to balance their risk-reward factor. This may raise questions about resistances, but that'll be discussed in a separate topic below. Now, so every single grab in the game got its cooldown changed. minimum to 15 seconds, some all the way up to 25 seconds. So I'll just run down the list real quick. So Warrior takedown from 8 to 15 seconds, Prime takedown 11 to 15, Rangers grab from 10 seconds to 15, Zerkers smackdown from 12 to 15, Rock Smash 20 to 25, and then Rooting got lowered from 40 to 35. Tamer's Soaring Kick from 10 to 15, Valk's grab 10 to 15, Wizard 10 to 15, Kuno and Ninja Suicide Fall from 10 seconds to 15, Ninja's Awaken Flash Bondage from 18 to 20, Striker's 7-second Super Armor grab to 15 seconds, their 10-second grab to 25, Mystic's grab from 7 to 15, Lon from 11 to 17, and then Guardian of 15 on both their grabs, Hash 18, Nova is now 20 seconds when it's absolute, and Sage is 20 and Corsair is 17. Now, in the top of their like notes, basically they said modifications and changes. The super armor effect disappears while the skill is being used for a skill to which the character's grab effect is applied, and super armor effect is applied only when the grab is successful. The range of a character's grab skill has been adjusted to match the direction the character is looking and the grab motion. Now, on some classes, this kind of narrowed like the grab box, but on a lot, it seems unchanged. Or like in Lawns, for instance, it's like there's some instances where it seems like it's not grabbing and a lot where it still is. So, yeah. I don't know if that's going to keep getting changed more or if that hasn't actually been changed on Global Labs, or I'm not too sure. But essentially, every grab now is unprotected when they go for a grab. Every grab is now protected if they succeed a grab, and every grab is unprotected when they fail the grab. And then the cooldowns are a little bit longer. So Rezlar, as a resident grab
class,
multi-grab class, how
Yeah.
are you feeling
Yeah.
about these changes?
Okay, so let's start off with the good, right? Like, this is something that we've been saying needs to happen for a really long time, that they need to increase cooldowns across the board, that there needs to be some sort of punishment for like failing a grab so that there's more risk like attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are things that we've been saying that needs to happen on this show for a very long time. And I think obviously not everyone, but I think a lot of the community has agreed, like, yeah, this is something that needs to happen. Unfortunately, I think that they kind of did this without taking into account the effect that it would have on like these classes. And obviously it should be stated that, like, theoretically this isn't like the end, right? They did this and now they're going to see what players say, see how players feel, and then they're going to assess further, right? Like, theoretically this is what should happen and what hopefully will happen, right? So they're going to make further changes based off of this change and what this change does. So I would say as long as part 2 follows.
So what
then
is part 2? Explain to us what you're referring to.
Well, it's different things for different classes, right? So this is where I can kind of only really speak for Berserker. Is Berserker relies very heavily on their grabs, because they don't have a lot of catches otherwise, right? And again, I can only really speak from a Awakening point of view because I don't PvP in Succession. Basically, in PvP, you hear a lot of Awakened Zerkers talk about how we don't really have any quick catches. We essentially have like Moving Shot, which is still not that fast in all honesty. It has quite a bit of a windup that you can kind of see. But it is a fairly quick catch on a pretty long cooldown. And then you have Stomp, which is, again, fairly fast, kind of hard to react to, but also isn't that reliable in all honesty. Moving Shot's like your main CC outside of grabs that you tend to get people with. And again, that's on a pretty long cooldown. Well, now that all of our grabs have been made unprotected, unsafe, and longer cooldowns for some reason, even though we had the longest cooldowns, but that's fine. It's like, okay, well, now you're going to do this, that's fine, but now we'd like to have another quick catch that we can throw out. And this is something that Berserkers were complaining about even before this change, right? You have like Choice saying like, hey, we need like a quick catch that we can just like, like every other class, can like throw out to quickly abuse like a mistake on our opponent's part. Zerker doesn't really have that. And now with this change, even more so, we need that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like other classes have probably a similar complaint. I can only really speak for Zerker. Zerker is a class that relies very, very heavily on grabs. That's our main way of CCing people. And so with them being nerfed, which I think should have happened, and I agree that that's a good direction to go in, there needs to be like follow-up changes after we assess exactly what impacts that change has, right? So
So
anyway,
do you think you're not going to be able to grab people?
not gonna be able to. No, you're
Yeah.
still gonna be able to grab people, but it's not gonna be. There's no element of safety to it anymore, right? Because now when I go for a grab, right, it's completely unprotected, and I still have to go through the stupid little animation, unless they also remove the stupid little animation of missing a grab. Because on Zerker, that's a very long animation. I know on other classes it's not very long. That gap is like, that little back step that Zerkers do is like fucking no time flat. Zerker is quite long, in all honesty.
I would
So yeah,
agree. I would agree that Zerker's animations on misses are definitely a lot longer than some other classes.
yeah.
And I do
So
agree. I do agree with you, Reslar, on the catches thing. Having alternative methods of actually CCing your opponent. Zerker is more limited on that than some other classes. And a lot of that was like you could kind of get away with it because you could like slow people down and then of course grab them. But specifically like in a matchup between like Musa or Mewa, like you could slow us down and then grab us. Well, that's with Chase change. That's not going to be as possible anymore. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects things.
yeah. And like, I'm not saying that like Zerker is like dead class or anything. Like, even if this change went through and nothing else changed, like, I still think it would be like strong in like 1v1s. A lot less so, certainly. But I don't know. It's just like I don't. I feel like the main thing about Zerker was that it had multiple grabs that were protected, and that's what made it strong, as compared to something like Ninja, who has, like they have a grab that's unprotected, but then they have a million other things they can CC you with, right? You got malice, you got other malice, you got beheading, you got
Yeah.
smoke screen, like all these other classes that also have grabs
Grab was
that
just
weren't.
one of the items in their
Yeah,
toolkit.
that weren't protected, that, this change doesn't affect them that much. They have multiple other ways of CCing people. And again, I can only speak as a Zerker. Like, that's not really the case for Berserkers. We basically have two CCs, one of which has extreme risk attached to it with the stomp, just because of the nature of the skill. You have to be super up close and personal to use it, and it's completely unprotected, so.
Do you not
Yeah.
use your core? You guys don't ever CC with your core skills?
I mean, you can cheese people with rocket jump, but obviously they're changing that. Also, once you CC somebody with rocket jump one time, they theoretically, if it's a good player, they know that you have that ability now, and they're not going to get CC'd by it anymore.
And no one really uses ground lift?
You use ground lift in large scale mainly. But again, with the reworks, like after these changes come through, I think you're probably going to see Zerkers taking core Titan Blow instead. Which like that'll give us a decent catch. I don't know if you can cancel out of it because I know that first hit stiffens, I want to say. And then the third hit knocks down. So if you can cancel out a Titan Blow, like there's one solution right there, right? If you can cancel quickly out a Titan Blow, you could just throw that out as a really fast stiff. Like that's kind of like what we need more of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree with that kind of idea.
Yeah.
I think that's really key to giving you guys more tools to use for quick CCs to punish small gaps or whatever the case is.
As he's pointing out that Shift Q, that they have a new CC Shift Q that's like a wide area stun, but it's a long cooldown, and that Titan Blow is fast and you can cancel out of it, I believe. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I saw that change, and I was kind of struggling with the translation. I haven't looked at the Foundry notes yet, but I believe it's referring to Fearsome Tyrant. And yeah, so that has a. If it is Fearsome Tyrant, then that is one of our heals. It's the heal that's our BSR, and it is unprotected whenever you don't have, whenever you don't have the BSR version. That being said, I think that would be a decent solution for like a quick catch because you can cancel out of it. I'm assuming you can still cancel out of it with or on Global Labs with the reworks. Right now on live, you can just kind of throw it out there really quick and cancel out of it. That's what I do a lot of times for my tier 3 add-on buff in PvE. So yeah, I don't know. Like again, like if these solutions work for berserkers, and again, like I'm not on Global Labs, so I can't say whether they do or not, then like cool. Like I have no problem with it. If these solutions don't work for the berserkers that are testing these changes on PvE, that are like actually taking the time to go and see how things feel, then like obviously something else needs to be done. But overall, I'm happy that they finally did this. I think, you know, as long as we properly assess what these changes do to like the grab classes and then make adjustments around that, obviously I think it's a positive change. It's something that, you know, I've been saying that we need for a long time alongside both of you guys. So
Yeah. One thing it was kind of like in the middle of all the information you're given about your thoughts on it, but something that some people have brought to my attention. I wanted to hear you guys' take on this. A feature of the change for the grabs is the fact that when you are successful, you gain protection now, no matter what class you are. Some classes didn't have that before. I believe Ninja was the example you used, Reslar, where they could, quickly grab and whatnot. But if I remember correctly, they weren't protected on the successful grab, so you could
on their pre-awaken grab. Their awaken grab was iframe on success for some reason, but their pre-awaken grab was unprotected. The suicide fall.
Okay.
Now it's super armor.
Basically, you could peel someone like in an AOE type scenario, or large scale or whatever. But so some classes didn't have that before, now they will. So I've heard comments from other players that were saying like they like what they did with the cooldowns, but they don't agree with the whole protection change at the end. They think that's going to be too much in some cases. Like even though that people lost protections at the beginning, they think that the peel factor not being available anymore is going to be really rough to deal with, I guess, is the complaint. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
why? It sounds like a bunch of awakening. It sounds like a bunch of awakening wizards and witches that are going to be complaining about being grabbed in large scale to me.
Yeah, I'm not one that's on the same idea set as that. I was curious.
Tamers are in shamble that you can't be CC'd when you grab them anymore by their fucking dog.
Yeah, I understand the concern, and for some classes, like I don't really think it needs it. Like for example, Ninja Kuno, they sped up Suicide Fall in the reworks before this grab change. So when you did the little flip in the air, it was much faster than it is currently on live. So it doesn't really need it, and I do understand that. I get that, but some classes like. I mean, Zerker obviously is a good example, but they already had it. Like Zerker, Striker, like some of the classes with slow grabs, like 100% need it.
Yeah, they need it for sure, 100%. Like I did not share the same opinion. It's just some players were, when I was talking with them about the grab change, this is what they brought up, and I was like, I don't really see that being an issue, but like I'll bring it up during the podcast and kind of get the opinion. So
yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing to point out.
Well,
especially since cooldowns also got increased like across the board, right?
Yeah, like my main concern was like cooldowns and classes that just had fully protected grabs. I'm like, that's just not right. Like I think this change from my point of view and desire was effective for kind of hitting most of the desires. The cooldowns help widen the time period of being able to find a gap or an opening or pressure my opponent to, possibly CC him or kill him without actually having to dodge a grab every 7 to 8 seconds or whatever the case is. That's huge for my class that doesn't have a grab itself. the non-protection on usage unless it's a successful one. Well, I don't care if they have protection on success in a 1v1 scenario. I'm probably dead anyways. I can't CC
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
while
yeah.
I'm CC'd. So in a
Well-
large scale scenario, I understand the peeling thing, but most, I don't really worry about getting grabbed on large scale. Like if it happens, I'm dead regardless. Doesn't matter. But yeah, in the 1v1 scenarios, it's like I don't give a shit about that. I care about if it's protected on miss or not. So they did everything that I personally was, focusing on, and so I'm pretty excited about those changes.
So
actually,
some of the classes, like Tamer, for example, like the
Tamer's a
grab
whole
animation,
nother issue though. They're so fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say theirs is so quick. You're probably not reacting to that and peeling during the grab animation unless it's like
No.
accidental. They did it.
Yeah,
In the
they're
middle of
already
the group.
chaining something else.
Yeah, and a lot of them kind of are that way, but I don't know.
I
like,
mean, honestly, Tamer's grab is just too insane right now as far as like speed, how they can like literally jump in and almost blink into you.
like Valkyrie didn't have protection on success, right? And theirs wasn't particularly fast, and that one doesn't bother me too much either. But I don't know. Like I could kind of see it both ways. For me personally, like I don't necessarily think that some of these grabs need the SA, but it's not. I'm not like that bothered by it either. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of where I lie as well. Like I just don't see like I have yet to see a good argument as to like why not. I don't know. I don't agree that like everybody needs it, but I don't see why not. Like I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I actually don't know. Is flat? Did anyone that checked? I'm asking chat here. Someone that went on Global Labs, is Flash bondage now SA, not iframe? Because that's actually kind of interesting. Because that actually is basically just, oh, it's iframe still. What the fuck, man? All right. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm like, if they took it away, I wouldn't, on a lot of these classes, I wouldn't be bothered. If they leave it, I won't be bothered, I guess. I guess I'm kind of indifferent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. That's pretty much where I am.
Now, actually, I wanted to ask you kind of just more from Blader perspective, the overall grab changes, since you don't use a grab, and grab is your worst nightmare, and now you have at least a little bit of a window. So your kind of feelings on these changes overall? Oh, I think.
Oh, he said BRB.
Oh, okay. Well, damn.
Damn.
As I feel like I'm more like in the middle. I even though I do play with grabs, I have been wanting grabs nerfed forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because even as I don't know, like I don't really like having to rely on it, and I started realizing after these changes. So I've had this this argument a million times with so many different people about like, because there's always well, if you have a grab, you don't have to know anyone else's class and this and that. And I am now fully on the side of, I completely understand why people feel that way now that grabs have been nerfed, and I've gotten to see the reaction of people that rely on it so much. Like there are people on some of these classes, I'll just use Hashashin as an example, Awaken Hash. Awaken Hash has a ton of fantastic catches. Like it doesn't suffer the same problem that you're complaining about with Zerker. Where it doesn't have a bunch of catches. Like you have a bunch of catches on Hash. Like you don't need to rely on the grab for a lot of the stuff that Hash can do. But you would think, talking to some of the Hashashins, that the class just got completely gutted. Because they're like, what are we supposed to do now? And it's like, I don't know. Arid Assault, Purge, like Slicer them in the back, like Mirage. I don't know. You have like a million other options. And the grab is still there. Like the grab is still there. Arid Assault doesn't suck. It's so good still. It's so good. Just gotta learn how to use it. Yeah, Sin Splitter. There's just a lot of options. So I don't know. And like I saw some Tamers complaining about their grab. I saw a couple Rangers saying that what are they supposed to do now? And like I'm just like, dude, it didn't get removed. And some of these cooldown changes aren't even like that dramatic. Like Striker Mystics feel pretty big because 7 seconds was so absurd. So going from 7 to 15, but like, I don't know, 10 to 15's not that crazy. Is it?
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't know. It just is I think it's good. I think it'll be good for people to one, not have to feel that stress of the grab every. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, speaking of cooldowns, I'm a bit irked that rooting only got reduced to 35. Bruh.
Why? I mean your SmackDown only got a 3-second increase. Is that actually gonna like the end of the world?
No, but fucking Rock Smash also got a 5-second increase, right? So okay, I have no problem with SmackDown being increased to 15 because 15 is the lowest that any grab is, right? So that makes sense. Like 15 seconds is their bare minimum. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right? Rock Smash was already, I want to say, like a 20-second cooldown, and then they increased it to 25, which is like, okay, fine, I guess, like extra grab makes sense to have it on a longer cooldown. Then they take rooting, which was a 40-second cooldown. It's all like it already was unprotected and like it's not that good of a grab, right? And then they reduce it by 5 seconds to 35. Like, I don't know, man. That's kind of that irks me. I mean, it's fine, like whatever.
What? Like you wish they didn't lower it? Or
no, I wish they brought it down more.
Oh. Well, I mean, the whole patch was nerfing grabs, so they probably weren't going to massively lower cooldowns. I mean, the entire thing was based around, like, increasing the grabs cooldown.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine.
I was shocked they lowered it.
It's just a minor complaint.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it went from 40 to 45, to be honest. Not saying it needed that. I'm just saying I wouldn't have been shocked. I don't know, like, I think when people get a little bit of the feel, it'll be all right. Some of these grabs, like, they just got to get used to it. People do, like, dude, some of these classes, they don't even put it, you know how, like, everyone has their skill cooldown slots up? Some of these classes don't even put their grab on there. Like, it's such a low cooldown, you don't need to. Why would you? Like, after your grab attempt, especially if it succeeds, you, like, do 1 or 2 abilities and it's up again. You don't even have to think about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially, like, I don't know. Especially these classes that sit in perma-SA, like, rotations that also slow their enemies while also healing themselves and then have a grab on a 6-second cooldown. Like, yeah, it's pretty nutty.
Yeah.
I wish I had perma-SA rotations that slowed my enemies, healed me, and then also had a 6-second grab. Sag did.
Well, you have all that except for the last part.
Oh, Megalol.
So, all right, here's the question. On the range of the character's grab skill has been adjusted to match the direction the character is looking the grab motion. Now, again, in my testing and like a lot of people's testing, this was only like partially true. And when I say partially, I say like 5%. There's like angles that worked on live that don't work now, but there's a lot of angles that still work. And some classes are like, wait, my grab range is increased. So, what should be done with this? Like, what are your opinions on like the grab boxes for some of these classes?
Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about the real problem here. Lawn grab didn't get nerfed enough.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, range grab shouldn't be in the game. I don't care what class it is. I don't care what your justification is. I don't care. Post this nerf. Like, range grabs, I hate range grabs with a passion. I just don't. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, antithetical. I think that's the word to like what a grab is and the inherent risk associated with a grab, right? Even more so after these changes, right? Like, you probably don't give 2 shits about your grab being unprotected if you can use it from 5 miles out. Like, it's so fucking stupid. And then also with lawn grab specifically, you also have it being fucking AoE. Man, I don't know. I'm that irked me a lot that they didn't touch either of those things, in all honesty. But as far as like the hitbox of grabs, I don't know. I feel like as long as you're looking in their direction and you're pretty fucking close, like,
I'm back.
it's probably fine.
Yeah. People are begging me to show you this.
What
I have
is
no
this?
context for
Observer,
this because I
please.
don't know. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Whenever it's just like a. Yeah.
Oh my
this is
God.
why Global Labs is.
It's horrible to test
Yeah,
with as
that's
far
why.
as damage is concerned.
Just remember the ghost clock. That's
Yeah,
just
why do
always
people
going to be my
keep
thing.
complaining about damage on Global Labs? It's so unreliable.
Yeah.
It's never true in the end.
Ghost Claw, just remember Ghost Claw. That's all it is. I tested against Block Jump. He had like, I don't know, whatever, 390 DP, and Ghost Claw did like 85% of his health. And then we were all like, oh my god, that's coming on Wednesday. And then it came and it's like, oh, okay, it does about 7% of someone's
Yeah.
health. And-
Global, for some reason, I really wish they would fix it so that we actually could get a good representation of damage on Global Labs, but
well,
it's just not.
it would help if they gave us the copy gear thing. At least it would be a start.
That would help too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, man.
I hate when you go to Global Labs and you're trying to test some stuff and then you have some fucking shitter on there that thinks that they have to go out of their way to make sure they have like a 770 gear score just to, like shit on people that are just trying to test mechanics and changes to the class. I don't understand it. It's such a stupid fucking thing.
Yeah, and as JM points out, yeah, guilds with guild skills. Like, you have like the guild buffs and all that.
Why are you tryharding so much? It just tests what changed. That's it. You don't have to make it like this big thing.
No, actually, so I wanted to ask you before you bounce. So you, as a non-grab class, as a blader, as someone who has to avoid grabs and all that, what are your feelings on the grab changes as a whole?
I mean, ultimately, like I said earlier, I think it's a positive direction. I think that's kind of like, for the most part, what we were looking for. I mean, I might be speaking for just myself, but I feel like other non-grab classes would feel the same. Like, you have a longer window between grabs now, so you have more time to pressure your opponent. So then it becomes more of a gear difference thing rather than like, oh my god, they just won because of like one skill, And it's not just that. Like, sure, they could still land that one skill, but now you know that if they miss because you played it appropriately and safely, you have a window rather than like, okay, I just dodged this. Oh shit, I got to dodge it again. Like, that's how it feels right now. Like, there's like no breathing room. Now there's a breathing room, especially versus some other classes. That's a significant window now. Warriors being basically doubled is pretty huge because once you dodge, originally once you dodge the slows, Gravedigger or Ground Smash, you would have to immediately dodge the grab, and then you have to go through the cycle again. So you have a very finite window to actually pressure them. It's like, okay, guys, really, you're so skilled.
It's like dash in. It's like solar flare, grab attempt, back up with head chase once, grave digging, back up again, solar flare, turn around, forward F to run away, rinse and repeat. And it's like,
grab,
oh my god.
It's like, okay, guy, you're being ridiculous now. But now the slows don't affect chase, which is pretty huge. So that isn't as impactful. It's still impactful when you catch and combo, but definitely not impactful as far as like my positioning. And then you have a grab window now, so you actually have a real chance in that fight. Like, it's not unrealistic. And then of course our damage got buffed too, if we're going to take Global Labs at face value, which we shouldn't. But imagine a world where it is accurate. I can combo with being slowed relatively easily with that kind of output. So it wouldn't be as impactful, potentially, if there isn't a major gear difference.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's a big deal. Well, I don't know, like some of these things, it's a huge deal in my opinion to be able to, we have a lot of essays and stuff, and there's times like you just sit an essay, and that's not, like if you're against a striker or a mystic on, I'll just use like Musa for example, Musa's linger essays all the time, right? Like you need to recover stamina and to buy time for other cooldowns. And if they fail your grab, like going from 7 seconds to 15 seconds means you can actually linger one or two skills just completely to recover stamina or whatever. And like instead the resource you're worried about is being slowed or damaged
Yeah.
versus like I'm just gonna lose because he's gonna grab me again in 4 seconds.
Yeah, like it's a significant difference. Like without actually like physically feeling it out, because obviously it's not live, and trying to test with people on Global Labs is a little little challenging in its own way. Once it comes live, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very, very impactful feeling to have that window, that gap, that moment of like I can choose to be pressured or not. That's going to be huge. So I like it. I think non-grab classes should feel similar, but they might have their own little specific reasons why they don't like it. I don't know why, but
Okay, so let me
if they're not happy with this, I don't know what they're going to happy with, honestly.
ask you. I wrote a couple of these down of some of the things that I saw, and I want to get your guys' reaction to this. So
Can I say something first?
yeah, go ahead.
Though? Allow me to be a bit vindictive for a second.
All right.
I hate that there are so many people that are still like complaining that grabs haven't been nerfed enough. Like
there is
you give these people an inch and they want to take a fucking mile, and it's so
Yeah.
infuriating that they're like, no, it should be 40-second cooldown. It's like, dude,
there definitely
come
is
on.
a group of people that are like that, and like I said, like there was people sending me their thoughts that they felt like the protections on success
Right.
are too much too, and I'm like why? Like
Well,
I think it's fine in a 1v1 scenario. You're fucked in a 1v or in a larger fight scenario like an AoE or whatever. You're probably fucked anyways. Like let's be real.
So I'm partly in that group as far as grab boxes are concerned.
Yeah.
Still,
Grab boxes, I get that.
yeah.
Yes.
I just think, I really think you should have to aim your grab. That should be
Yes.
part of the challenge of grabbing someone, because again, it does go through
all protections except for iframe. Yep.
So I do think partly that, but that
would
actually
be the one thing I would definitely agree with.
Yeah.
As far as like needing to be done, but as far as anything else, I think the grabs are in a pretty solid state with this change.
Yeah. So Rez, what you said plays into kind of what I was going to say. So some people, one of these comments that I read in reaction to this was, this doesn't change anything. Now players will just grab and run for longer and then grab again. Any
Well then you're
rebuttal
not
to
being
that?
pressured, and you can go and pressure them. So you don't have an overwhelming pressure from an opponent now, like a warrior. I just like using warrior as an example because they are a very
Because you hate
egregious.
them, we know. You don't need to hide it.
Yeah. They're just the ones that are like easiest to pin it on. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's like you have an opportunity to like pressure them now because they're going to like be backing off. Like, sure, yeah, they can run away, and then you could say like, oh, well, I can't pressure them if they run away. Well, you're also not being pressured. You dodge their grab, and look, you're at a stalemate. You just call them a giant fucking pussy, and then walk
Yeah,
away.
that's the thing. It's like, if you're gonna give me that extra time, like I'm okay with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather my opponent ran away than I'm watching my stamina
You feel
bar go
helpless.
down
Yeah,
until
you
I
just
get
feel
grabbed.
helpless.
Eventually, it's like an inevitability.
Yeah,
like
that's how it feels right now. It feels like especially from my class's point of view, it's inevitable. It's a matter of how many times I can dodge before I'm actually caught, or he just happens to get super frustrated and I magically catch him. But most of the time, it's just them getting, how many attempts can I get in?
So opposite end, the phrase, I've seen this phrase a lot. So this is more so from like some of the slower classes. But so how am I supposed to CC anyone now? Do we have an answer to that?
Oh, is this like the Guardians or?
There's been a few Guardians. Weirdly, Tamer. I've seen Tamer say that. I've seen Zerker say
I don't
it.
understand Tamer saying that. I do not understand a Tamer saying that. Whoever's the Tamer that's saying that, they are living in a totally different world than the rest of us, because Tamer has such fast CCs.
Let's say it is Guardian Res. What it's like? Do you have a response to that?
I mean, don't they have an iframe into stiffen on like a 4-second cooldown?
It's toxic. But yeah, they do.
We're not allowed to bring that
I
one
mean, I
up.
don't know. Like I said, I think like all grab classes need to make their voices heard and let
Yeah.
let the devs know like how these changes affect them, and then try to push for changes that would help them. And I'm sure Guardian, as busted as OP as that fucking class is, like they also have issues that these changes are gonna like really like fuck with them about, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that like
I think it should be the same premise, like with how we talked about with Zerker earlier.
Yeah.
Like, if a class is so heavily dependent on a grab, and they don't have very many other tools available to them, then maybe some tools should be incorporated into their kit to help out with that. Modify some existing skills that probably don't do anything right now for them, and make them an option to actually quickly CC your opponent, or not something that does a lot of damage, but just as a CC tool, as an alternative, so that they have not only the grab, which they feel is inferior now, or whatever they feel about it, but also another tool to help them just do a normal CC.
Um.
I think
Yeah.
that would be fair. Like, I don't understand why classes feel like players that play these classes with grabs that kind of rely on the grabs feel that skill should be so powerful and it be okay.
This is another one that I've seen a lot, and this is not from any particular class. I've seen this from just a lot of people in general. Is quote, I hope next patch they also nerf iframes. Thoughts?
Nerf them how though? I mean, I'm not. They already technically got nerfed by grabs having priority over iframe as far as like which one activates. Like, how do you nerf the iframes more? Like, I don't understand. Trust me, if a valid reason and a solution comes up, I'm happy to hear it out and whatnot. I don't even have an iframe myself, really, not a realistic iframe. So this is coming from someone that's not really benefiting from it. So
as the resident iframe class hater, and I mean hater, I fucking can't stand iframe classes. I would say that one, I would change that statement slightly to I hope that they nerf iframe spamming, because I think spamming iframes is just as dumb and like busted as having a fucking 6-second cooldown grab.
Yeah,
I think it's 1-to-1. It takes absolutely no skill, and it's entirely beneficiary with absolutely no counterplay, right?
Yeah. Like Sorks being able to completely avoid any form of like chip damage if they want.
Yeah. So I would say I would change that statement to nerf iframe spamming, but also that has nothing to do with these changes.
Yeah,
so,
that's
like I can hope that they nerf iframe
vengeful.
spamming, but like that's exactly what it is. It sounds like a Zerker who's angry that the grabs got protection removed, and so they want to take it out on Sorks.
Yeah, but I do agree with how you framed it though. Like the spamming I think
is very silly.
Yes, I don't think that should be a thing. I think if a class like Sork, for example, is spamming, maybe every other one should be a super hum or something. Make them get pressured in some capacity.
Yeah, I don't know,
especially
exactly
with how strong they are
fix...
now on Global Labs. Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to fix iframe spamming. I'm not claiming to have a solution. I'm just saying that I think it's a problem that probably needs to be looked into. Frosty, do you disagree as an iframe class?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're all the same. Is the thing?
Yeah,
yes,
they're not.
Yeah.
So,
100% agree with that.
I don't know. I mean,
that's why I was saying earlier, I don't understand. What do you want to do about iframes other than Reslar's solution about the spamming? Like, iframes in general, like, most aren't that bad. In some cases, like, and there are a few classes that have some very abusive...
Yeah, I don't know. I guess in my head, I always
is it just Sork specifically, or is it like everyone?
I think Tamers probably needs a little bit of adjustment, but
theirs got nerfed on Global Labs.
Oh, it did. Okay,
Tree climb doesn't linger anymore.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm probably alone in this because this is a pretty like radical thought that's pretty far away from the state of the game we have currently. But I've always felt like iframes should be tools used in very specific situations.
Yes.
Like instead
Like
of
a
just
grab,
like instead of the default protection of a class. Like I think a class that uses iframes as its main source of being protected from CCs is really like silly and unbalanced.
That's how, like, you know, where I've been complaining about they haven't given Mayo a grab back. That's all I want is one that I can use on demand as a defensive measure for a situation, not
Wait,
something
you said
that's
grab
just
back?
like.
I think you said that wrong. Did I
I?
mishear you? You said they haven't given Mayo a grab back.
Oh, an iframe
They
back.
took
I'm
away
sorry.
Mayo's grabs, dude.
Freudian
Mayo's
slip.
rise up.
My grapple arrow, they took it away. No, that misspoke there. They haven't given us our iframe back because they took away multiple iframes back in like 2018 or whatever. So like having at least one as an on-demand tool as a defensive measure, either I want to use it for damage avoidance because it's a big skill like Grim Reapers or something coming, or dodge a grab scenario, or maybe I jump into a large scale scenario and I'm trying to avoid some debuffs and shit, and you know, like that kind of thing. Just damage avoidance, debuff avoidance. Having one skill like that would just be nice. Like we have the charge stub arrow, but it's not as reliable because of how the timing in the window is, and especially when you consider desync, it's a mess to try to get proper. And then on top of that, the chase iframe is not a reliable tool. That shit's always on cooldown. So like, yeah, that's basically how Reslar was framing it. Like it should be used kind of like how a grab is used. A grab's used in a specific scenario in an offensive manner, or an iframe should be used in a specific manner for a defensive situation.
I don't know. That's not reasonably attainable. Like they'll never do that, right?
So they won't.
I would say as a
but then
reasonable
again, they
goal,
also
how
would
about
never
we
have
try
used
to
grabs.
fix iframe spamming, like
Well,
just like back to back to back,
so
like iframe spamming.
Let's say for Sork, if the stamina cost is appropriate to where it's like feels limited, is that enough, or you don't think they should ever be able to use an iframe into an iframe?
That's a good question. See, it's hard for something like Sork. It's hard. I want to say, I honest to God want to say that they shouldn't be able to do like iframe into iframe spam, but at the same time, is that any different than Corsairs having like a fucking 7-second iframe? Like 7-second duration, not cooldown. Because that's basically what they have. Like, I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't be able to spam iframe into iframe, but at the same time, Corsair's iframes make that kind of irrelevant because you don't have to spam iframe into iframe to get 5 seconds of iframe. You just use one skill. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a weird. It's like a catch-22, right? Because iframe is also the one thing that everybody wishes they had a reliable version of because there's so much damage and so much like getting slowed plus grabs in the game that it's like, I don't know.
But to be fair with that, I feel like they definitely did hit the grabs pretty well for, you know, what most people were wanting. And the resistance thing, which we haven't got in yet, I think will help a little bit. Maybe not quite enough, but that's just my opinion. But we'll get into that in a moment. But they're starting to hit some of these key things that people are, you know, holding at the top of their list as major issues in the game. So I'm glad to see some movement on those topics.
I have so during the reworks, I would say most of the feedback that I've seen is majority just people are very negative about everything. But this grab, like when the grab changes came out, like I know there's grab classes now, like you see them speaking up more and more about how they can't, you know, they're complaining about different things. But man, like the overwhelming, like it looked like dude, when we were reading it live, it was like it felt like it was New Year's Eve. and the fucking ball just dropped. Like people were like, oh, there's no way. Like people didn't even believe it. Like there was gasping. Like I was like, this is fucking April Fool's. Like when you were reading it, Nayasha, you thought I was trolling you.
Yeah,
Like, that's your
I was
first
like
reaction.
100%. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, they didn't. You're
Yeah,
fucking
like there's
with me.
no way.
I'm like, there's not a million years that they would touch this stuff. They haven't touched it for years. If anything, they made things worse over time for those kinds of mechanics. So I'm like, no, that can't be true. I was just in shock when I actually read the notes. I'm like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to get reverted. They're going to revert this shit next week. They just wanted to see how everyone reacted just to fuck with us.
So I when I told Nat, I'm gonna read this. I was like, dude, grabs got nerfed, and then he was like asking the cooldowns of him. I'm like, warriors 15 seconds. She's like, all caps, wow, I'm in shock. I was like, Nova grab, Sage grab 20 seconds, Lana 17, Hash 18. Oh my god, stop, I can only get so hard. This is Nayashe.
Yeah, that is a direct quote. I can corroborate that was in fact a direct quote.
Nayashe was losing his mind, dude. All right, so but I just want to ask one last question before we move on. So the grabs being unprotected on attempt. This one is like half the grab classes are upset about this change, half are happy. Do you think that I mean, Nayashe, if let's say you're playing on your Meiwa, are you looking for the grab to punish the attempt now on a striker or a mystic, or are you waiting for the fail, or what's like the play in that? What's like the realistic scenario?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think I'm trying to bait out the grab. It depends because, all right, so you gotta consider the fact that some classes play styles are going to change, right?
Yeah.
With a lot of these changes. So some classes, like hypothetically, you could say arguably Meiwa's playstyle is definitely going to change in some capacity. Like we have a lot of damage pressure now, according to how Global Labs is. If that comes through to live, you might see Meiwa's kind of switching towards like an SA Bruiser style play, which means we'll be more aggressive, which means we're probably going to risk getting grabbed more often, which is not a very good strategy in my opinion. But if grabs are nerfed and this goes through, there could be definite opportunities to try to bait it out and then punish it. And if the punish fails, then we just go ham with the damage pressure, you know?
Right.
So that's what I'm kind of foreseeing potentially happening.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that honestly is kind of like how Meiwa's fight with some of these grab classes should be. We should be able to just like, because Meiwa's never really, it was always supposed to be like really high single target, mostly from a combo point of view, but like we never really were like a big, like large scale class originally. But now they kind of changed that. We kind of will be a big, large scale class as far as damage output. Just depends on how everything handles with our survivability, with all the other classes getting damage increases too, to really see where we are in large scale. But I think we're going to be like throwing out damage now is kind of like what I'm foreseeing. It seems like they want us to move away from pre-awaken in its entirety. Like you have stub arrow change, which feels like a nerf. You can still use your arrows, but the RP shit is really bugging me. The Red Moon basically being replaced by Moonrise, Bond, Super Armor, essentially. Like that's how players are going to start using it probably, which I don't like. I don't like that kind of approach, but whatever. Red Moon does the same fucking shit. But you know, like they're giving us the new skill, kind of acts like forward blind thrust in a way, like which is one of our fastest CCs. So it's interesting because it seems like they're trying to like force us completely out of pre-awaken, so they just want us to just throw out damage. Yes, so I don't know.
Sorry,
playstyles are just going to change.
You're gonna have oppression every 9 seconds, so it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Where like our cooldowns are drastically reduced, so we can throw out more CCs, more pressure, all in awakening. So it's like they want us to stay there for some reason. I don't know why, but they want us to literally forever live in awakening stance. So.
Someone said, "Do I need to get a notepad for this Meiwa guide right now?" Yes, you do. Write this down.
You should probably.
All right. Let's move on to the rest of the dev note. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Rez, before we move on?
No, not really.
All right. So at the top of this dev note, they also talk about guard. So they say, as for guard, there are two main types: the basic guard, guard applied by pressing Q, i.e. the Q guard, and the S block, guard applied by walking backward. The S block was initially designed during the early phase of Black Desert to work in a similar manner to the blocks found in fighting games. As such, classes that had a Q guard were given an S block to enable them to block naturally by walking backward. This was to create more intuitive and meaningful action-oriented combat. However, over the course of numerous updates, S block was also given to less effective classes that and classes that didn't have Q guard. It seems we did not consider the full implication of these changes, as they caused S block to become even more effective and made it even harder for classes that didn't have S block. Therefore, we plan to weaken the effect of S block to create a disparity between Q guard and S block, so the effect of Q guard will be more prevalent. We also are contemplating the merits of adding a system where the guard gauge does not recover for a short period of time after the guard breaks. This will force adventurers to rely less on holding their guard or their ground with guard and encourage them to disengage in order to recover their guard gauge. This in turn will create a necessity for these classes to manage their guard gauge and use guard more strategically. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback on the new direction we are taking with these changes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I want to.
Can you send me the link
something.
to that?
Yes.
Because I need to reread that. Because
Well, here's my initial thoughts when I read this. Well, let me just ask you guys a general question, both Nyashi and Rezlar. Do you guys feel in the current game, specifically with S blocks, just S blocks, do you guys feel that S blocks are too powerful?
I don't
No.
feel S blocks themselves are too powerful. I think just the normal like Super Armor 4 guard blocks are too powerful.
Rez?
No, I don't think S blocks are too powerful.
So I'm putting myself out on a limb here. There is part of me that
let me follow
thinks,
up with that though. Let me follow up with that statement. I don't think S blocks are too powerful. I think giving a ton of classes S block was a mistake.
Yeah, that I will say. Yes.
Okay.
I think they shouldn't have just gone around giving S block. And I know like this really hurts like me as a berserker who got S block, right? Because like we rely on our S block very heavily. But I think that was kind of a mistake to like just kind of go around giving that to like almost everybody, if not everybody. I think what classes don't have S block? Awakened Corsair, Suck Ranger.
no, Waking Corsair has it. Suck Ranger
Waken
doesn't
does?
have it. Suck Sork doesn't have it. Suck Tamer doesn't have it. Suck Wiz Witch don't have it. Ninja doesn't have it.
Yeah, but some of these classes have regular blocks.
They have regular
right?
blocks. Yeah, you're just talking about S blocks. But here's the thing though. Now, while I agree, like maybe some of these classes didn't necessarily need the S block, and maybe I'm completely wrong here, but I've not heard people complaining about S block.
No.
Never.
Basically ever. And I honestly think, and again, I'm probably wrong, but I honestly think that somehow people saying SA block has confused PA and they think we were all saying S block.
I hope not. I really hope not.
I really think that that's a possibility. Maybe it's not, but I just can't fathom why they think that S block should be nerfed, not like a block that has protection on your back while you're blocking. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm trying to justify. When I was reading this, I was like, oh shit, they're listening, like the guard thing. And then I read through it and I was like, wait, they didn't mention the protection on Q guard. They only mentioned S blocking as being like too strong, and then blocks in general having the stagger, where you don't recover if it breaks. Am I?
Maybe.
Do you think am I crazy?
Maybe the intern needs to go back and get some English in his life. I don't know. Like, there must be a translation issue. There has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that being a possibility. Things get lost in translation all the time, so it wouldn't be a surprise. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think SA block or S block rather is like a problem,
Powerful,
nor have I
yeah.
heard anyone complain about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe in Korea they think S block is a problem? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
I wouldn't rule that out as a
Do
possibility.
Koreans hate S block? Like maybe
They-
that's the solution here. I don't know.
They don't like some things that we would otherwise think you're fine. So
Well, the interesting thing is, so they said that they plan to weaken the effect of S block, but anyone who uses S block, like right now, the way the game kind of is, and I assume it's the same in Korea, unless like they're all
Like,
just
how do you
running
weaken
tanky
it?
builds. But like, doesn't your S block, like I feel like I can take
Get
one
obliterated?
skill maybe, like
Yeah.
sometimes even at my gear, and I'm like C20. I can maybe take one skill from most classes before my block is either broken or it's low enough that like, yeah, I'm not going to take another hit. I'm going to do something else. So I can't even imagine it being weaker. I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm wrong on that, but it does seem like maybe there's a little miscommunication there. But the second part of what they plan to change, they want to add a system, or they're considering. This is not, they're for sure doing it. They said they're contemplating adding a system where when your guard gauge breaks, it doesn't recover for a period of time.
Oh, Jesus.
What are your thoughts on that?
No. Bad PA. No. It's already annoying enough with the fucking Corsairs and shit running around. No.
Well, here's the thing. They do mention the Corsair. They say even though there will be a number of adjustments applied, we also understand that classes which center around their guard shouldn't lose this characteristic. We also will do our best to maintain uniqueness, even though some of the mechanics may change. And they have like a little GIF of Corsair overcoming block.
Oh, so it's gonna do more damage to blocks.
Well, I almost feel like I mean, again, I don't know. It's so vague, but I almost feel like the implications that they might, if this came, they might have to change some of the characteristics of these skills that break guards.
It's.
But I don't know.
yeah,
I
they would
can't tell.
actually. That would pretty much make S-Box non-existent.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like Corsair comes out, everyone complains about the no block recovery skill for like the last, how long has it been since it came out? Like 2 months, 3 months?
Well, I mean,
and
it's
they're
still
like, what if we gave that to everyone? Like what?
Well,
Fuck, no.
now again, you have to break the block. So what? Well, you don't think there should be any punishment for if you stood in guard all the way to your block 0, or what are your thoughts on that, on how that works right now?
Is there not already a punishment? Like, don't you have to go through a little animation?
Not every class does, and it's weird because
well,
it doesn't happen.
They need to add that.
And it doesn't happen when you're in a frontal guard skill either.
Yeah, when you're in a frontal guard skill, you can continue to use it and not really get CC'd at all.
Yeah, so I'm seeing the argument
But
if they
then
stay in
you're
guard,
not-
then they aren't doing damage.
But that's not.
That's
hold
not
on,
necessarily
but-
true, because they are doing damage in the way of like your opponent has to blow cooldowns and stamina to try to deal with it while you are basically recovering all of your resources.
Okay, but hold on. If the argument is that we want to prevent people from sitting in block, then I don't think they should get CC'd for using a frontal guard skill and getting exploded.
Yeah, I agree. Frontal guard skills are different. They should.
Yeah.
So
function
no,
differently.
if your block breaks in an FG skill, you shouldn't get punished.
No, but it would
honestly.
be if your block breaks, your guard wouldn't come back for, I don't know, whatever, 3 seconds in this hypothetical system they're gonna add.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that should apply more to like the Q block type situations, not really the S block. I feel, but wouldn't that make more sense?
I mean, they're using the same guard gauge resource, right? All of the
Well,
skills.
yeah, but so for the
Are you saying there should be a
for the-
separate guard gauge for Q block?
Yeah, well, not exactly. It should be the same guard gauge, but what I'm suggesting is they get punished differently. So S block happens like how it happens now, but if you use a Q block and it breaks, then you have that little short time period where you don't recover, which means that you also wouldn't have access to your S block. And typically, when your block gauge is down, you don't have access to your frontal guard abilities too. Correct.
I'm just going to point out again that this has huge, large scale like
Yeah.
implications for
Yeah,
SA
it
block
does.
classes.
Yeah.
Like, are you telling me that if a Valk
It
is standing at the
does.
front of the ball and gets hit with 3 meteors, instantly breaking her SA block, she now can't have her block for 3 seconds? Like,
Yeah, that's a problem. I don't know that like
Well, Rez, what are your
from a large
feelings?
scale point of view,
I-
I don't have a problem with SA blocks. From a 1v1 point of view, I think they're fucking busted.
Yeah,
I
Rez,
just think
that's why I wanted to ask your opinion on that. Like for the classes that don't have a way to get through them, I mean, is there a solution, or what do you think? What is your feeling on that?
it's what I've been saying forever now. Pretty much every non-grab class that has no way of dealing with someone who's sitting in SA block
Mhm.
should have some sort of shield block damage extra modifier on some of their abilities, similar to what Corsair has. Then that modifier needs to have split damage applied to it, so that whenever multiple people or you use it on a group of people in large scale, it doesn't delete their block by like 40 like it would in 1v1. Instead, it deletes it by like 5. Like, this is I don't understand.
Yeah.
This is such an obvious solution to this problem,
And they already
I
have
don't
it in the game.
understand.
Yeah, they already have it in the game too.
Like, you
so.
give Corsair's block breaking ability to other classes that have no way of dealing with SA block, and then you give it split damage so that it doesn't annihilate people's guards in large scale. I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if like, I mean, on a Corsair, if you're fighting someone, one of these block classes, and you don't hit them with Spiral Soak, like the block recovery prevention, like just the block break thing, like doesn't actually do much for you in 1v1. It's like the guard prevention that makes it oppressive and actually make them not able to recover. So I don't know like how much that actually.
But you can give the guard break ability to multiple skills, right? Like, it doesn't have to be like this one. If I miss this one skill on like a 12-second cooldown, then like I have to just wait for 12 seconds. Like, you can put it, you can lower the effectiveness of it. So instead of taking away 40% guard gauge, it's like 20 or 30, and then put it on like 3 or 4 skills, right?
Right. But
This would also be a decent way of making useless skills like useful again, theoretically.
Yeah, that's true.
well, let
You
me
could
give you an
potentially-
example. Let's say if I'm on a if I'm on a warrior and I do let's say they hit my block, bring it down to 5%. Okay, I chase, use Gravedigger, it's now back up to 45%. And then they hit my block again, it's down to 5%. And then I chase and use Ground Smash, and now it's back up to 45%. And is it like every skill is having this block in this hypothetical, the block break, or because like it doesn't seem like that's actually gonna like get through anything because you just use the skills they're already using to recover it.
Right, but in that instance where they use Ground Smash, you should try to go for like an opening, right? Again, the problem is we're trying to solve the problem. We need to state what problem we're trying to solve. The problem we're trying to solve is people sitting in SA block. I think that change would be more than enough to make people not sit in SA block. If they're using other abilities that are not sitting in SA block, then we have solved the problem. So if they have to go into Ground Smash to let their guard gauge recover, then we've solved the problem. They're not sitting in SA block.
No, you haven't solved the problem because these classes don't have a grab. So they're still just in SA. Like, it doesn't solve the problem. It's like doesn't actually solve the problem because Nyashi's still not CCing these players. When they use Ground Smash or Ground Slam, they're not getting CC'd. When they use Grave Digging, they're not getting CC'd. When they use Slashing, they're not getting CC'd.
Right. Okay, so whenever you fight a Guardian, you break their block, you put it on, you block their recovery gauge for 10 seconds. Guess what? They have 10-second SA rotations. So how does that solve anything?
I didn't say that solved anything. I'm saying your solution also doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Neither of these solutions are solving that problem. They're still just permanently protected, and the class without the grab is not getting through unless they can kill them standing up.
But it allows for trading, though.
Well, sure, but that's under the assumption that your trading is actually even winning.
Well, I mean, then it comes down to a gear difference, probably. Like, because if you look at how, assuming Global Labs damage ends up coming through as is, which more than likely it won't, assuming that particular situation, though, the damage output on some of these skills is insane. Like, I can kill someone standing up now. So having their guard broken or low enough to where they don't want to necessarily use it because it would break and they have to use other skills to trade, well, that would be a favorable situation, probably.
Unless
So-
we have the reworks out and they're hitting you with grave digging that does more damage now and slashing that does more damage, where you're just losing the trade and you're slowed.
Yeah.
Or the trade is equal plus you're slowed.
Then it comes. Then you have to also incorporate. Those certain abilities. You're probably gonna have to like dodge or use a frontal guard type ability like Tip of the Iceberg to counter them by doing trade damage to them, while your guard absorbs the mass majority of their damage and also blocks the debuffs.
Yeah, I'm not saying I have
So
a
this-
solution, Rez. I'm just saying that like the non-grab classes are complaining that they can't CC their target. And guard is
Right, but now here's-
safety
but here's-
for that, but breaking it doesn't solve it because they still are rotating
Literally,
essays.
the only thing that perfectly solves that solution is giving every single class a grab.
Or removing SA from guard.
Yeah, but
removing SA
again,
from
Guardians
guard.
can just rotate SA.
Or the alternative
Yes,
is
they can.
in the scenario where you mentioned Warrior, Frosty,
Yeah.
when they use their shield charge to get away and reposition to
Mhm.
regenerate their shield, maybe they just don't regenerate their shield during that time period.
Well,
'Cause right
during
now
that
they do, right?
No, they wouldn't. They don't because shield charge is forward guard, right? When you're using a forward guard skill, you don't recover forward guard.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Again, in my mind, the main thing that we need to solve is that people are sitting in SA block.
I know, but that's not you're not. That's not just the problem. That's like a portion of the problem that's making things worse. Is that they get to recover everything while being in the block, but
Here,
when they're
stamina
outside
drain,
of that block, they
stamina drain while
also
you're-
don't. Yeah, they're also still fully SA. Like the thing you're saying, like, well, a guardian can just do this. Like, yes, that's also a problem. Like, it's like a combination of the two.
How about just
So-
throwing a stamina drain while you hold your block?
I'm not saying this is the right solution, but just as an example, if Guardian doesn't have SA on their block, and again, I know Guardians get mad when I say that, but I'm just saying in a hypothetical world, now anytime they do crutch on that block, which eventually they're going to have to, they can be hit by Dragon Bite or Stigma or whatever, like when they get wrapped. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah. Beyond that particular idea, if they put a stamina drain on the the Q block, so like S block for example wouldn't get the stamina drain because
only
it's more
Q block.
vulnerable.
like
But
Kuno.
only on the Q block, you would effectively force them out of the block because they wouldn't have any stamina to do anything else really, except for some skills that don't require stamina to move around, right?
Yeah.
That would force them out in a way. It doesn't have to be an extreme drain, but it could be a slow drain that basically it kind of forces their hand on not relying on Q block, maybe using S block or using other skills like foreguard abilities or SA abilities, and having to play in a way where they have to manage that resource.
So, are you proposing that they remove SA from Q block?
No, I'm just saying this is what
No.
what everyone
Yes.
wants. But he's saying stamina cost added to the Q block, but not to the S block.
I
So
know, but
think
I'm
is an
asking you,
interesting-
Frosty. Like, what do you
I don't have a
think the solution
proposition.
is?
I don't have a proposal for it, so I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. That's why I'm asking everyone their ideas. What I do know is that I've gotten to experience breaking block with 10%, 20%, 30% damage skills, and what makes that work is that the block can't recover. When it does recover, it doesn't do anything. I still can't
Yeah.
CC the opponent. That's what I'm telling
Yeah.
you. It's like
And that's
I'm not
why
saying,
I think,
and that's not implying that we need recovery. I'm just telling you that system doesn't work. I also don't like the recovery prevention.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What
I don't know.
What do you think about the stamina drain idea though? Because then it's mostly about managing and juggling your resources rather than making it so that you can't use your block or you can't recover your gauge.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's an interesting solution. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see how it plays out. I'm sure if it got patched though, people would be
Pissed.
super pissed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. 100%.
That is kind of how like
warriors don't care about stamina for the most part, but there are some skills that they
right.
would.
Guardians
they
do,
would
though.
care about.
Guardians definitely
Guardians
care
would.
about stamina.
Strikers don't have a Q block, so that wouldn't be a big deal for them. Obviously wouldn't impact them because S blocks wouldn't be affected. Valkyries, I don't know how
Awaken-
impactful that would be on them.
Awaken, it would be tough. On Suck, their mobility doesn't even use stamina.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So-
It's just it's different. Every class. I don't know. I don't have a solution, Rose. I was just throwing it out, having the discussion, but we should probably move on from it. because there's a million other things we got to get to.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard topic.
It is tough.
It's one of the
Now-
it's one of the biggest imbalances in our game, and to be perfectly honest, there's not like a one size fits all solution that would just solve everything. There's just a lot of solutions that would solve some things.
Chat's like Valkyrie would care. Valkyrie would care a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, Valk Awakening, it would be rough if they lost stamina.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I don't know. It's all right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're just trying to find a broad solution that probably requires an individual solution per class. That's probably the problem.
Maybe,
Yeah, maybe it's different per class,
or give everyone a grab.
or give everyone courses.
Just give Sork a grab, dude. Easy.
Everyone gets a grapple arrow.
Everyone gets a grapple arrow. All right,
That's a joke, by the way. If they give Sork a grab, I'm actually quitting this game.
Yeah, please don't do it. That would be awful.
What if it's a bad grab like Sage's?
No, I'm still quitting. Sage has a ranged grab, brother.
I know. That's why it's funny though. Whenever I fight a Sage, they always tell me their grab is shit. All right.
I mean, here's the thing. That grab is wonky, dude. The amount of times that I try to grab somebody and it's just like, I don't feel like it. Like, it's not that it's like resisted or that I miss or something. It's just that it like wonks out. It's so strange. Like, I'll go through the whole grab animation because I'll put Oasis weapons on my Sage and take him to BA sometimes. Like, it'll go through the grab animation and everything. Like, it desyncs so easily. It's so weird.
it needs buffs.
It doesn't
Make it
need
wide.
buffs,
Make it wide
but-
like lawn so it can't fail.
Oh,
Please,
don't do
God,
that.
no.
Please don't.
All right. So, all right. Second topic: adjusting PvE performance and summons damage for each class. We've received a fair amount of feedback on PvE and would like to state the decision briefly before explaining it in more detail. In short, we plan to buff weaker classes rather than nerf stronger ones. Our intentions are to adjust the PvE performance of weaker classes so they match those of currently praised for their PvE performance like Sage and Awakening Nova and the like. The skill damage changes that have currently come to Global Lab as part of the reboot have only lightly addressed the issues of class PvE, but before we start adjusting skill damage further, we plan to iron out skill mechanics and their combos first. Additional PvP and PvE damage adjustments will come at a later date. Furthermore, the system that determines the damage of summons will also be changed. Currently, summons damage from Marg, Tet, Arn, Gore, Hailing, Echo Spirits, etc. does not benefit from a character's gear and instead has a fixed AP of 100 to 120. This will now be changed so that summons are affected by a character's gear.
Oh god.
And then so they just kind of leave it at that. And I can't remember if it's
Oh,
noted.
no.
I think it's noted in the blue patch, but they don't mention any of the actual pet notes in here. So I went and did some testing because I was hearing some wild things. So in PvP, for whatever reason, I'm not sure how the math works out, but in PvP, for the most part, everything feels kind of the same. Like it's kind of hard to tell a difference. I haven't tested on everything and I haven't gotten feedback from everyone, like every class on this. So like, I don't know how Sage pets feel. I don't know how much damage the Tamer pet feels. But some of the ones that I got to feel and experience were Nova and Hash and then the Striker ones. But so PvP didn't feel much different. Maybe it is. I don't know. But PvE was dramatically different. So just as Hash as an example, so I went this morning and tested to see the damage differences. On Awakening Hash, if I cast Owl's Breath, which is the tornadoes that come out, over at Swamp Fogans at 305 AP Kudum, right now, it does somewhere between like 10 and 15% of the pack's health. The tornadoes, the whole 10-second duration. On Global Labs at 308 Kudum, so 3 more AP, it was able to sometimes completely kill the mob and sometimes bring them but mostly bring them down to about 5% health. Like it was like 4 times the damage in PvE. And I heard similar things from Musa with the new projections that come out on multiple skills, that it does an insane amount of damage in PvE. The Suck Nova pets, I went and tried it at Fogans, like does an insane amount. Like it just, the mobs feel like butter. It's like pretty dramatic. It's scaling. And I heard Witch also is crazy, but I haven't actually seen or gotten any like detail. I just heard it was good. So yeah, pets scaling with damage is like kind of nuts. Yeah, I don't know. So your guys' thoughts on the pet scaling stuff?
Well, it's hardly noticeable that I'm okay, but based on how it was read in the patch notes, it kind of suggested like Hey Lang was going to be sicked on me, and that's all the tamer had to do. I was going to be running for my life.
Yeah, and again, like I'd like to point out again that we all know Global Labs damage very unreliable.
Yeah.
It is
That's
very
the fact-
unreliable.
The fact that it doesn't do anything or doesn't seem to affect anything on Global Labs means next to nothing.
Yeah,
sure.
that's.
But I'm just
that's
telling you,
true.
like, the difference between before this patch using Alice Breath and after is literally 4 times the damage in PvE. So something definitely changed in PvE interaction.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's probably, from PvE point of view, for some classes, that's probably good. Like, say, Tamer,
Yep.
But in the case of, like, Sage, that's probably not good. So that's probably going to put them even more up there when it comes to PvE. So I guess it really
Yeah,
depends. We need to wait to see when its true damage comes out on live because, we can't have things proper on Global Labs, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's not a problem as long as it's properly balanced. But
Right.
that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with it as long as like we put the changes in. Oh shit, it did this thing that's unexpected. Now we need to fix it. Like
Right.
whether that's like it being too weak, like hey wait, like Tamer does like no damage in PvP now. What the fuck is going on here? Or if that's like Sage like making 10k more trash than everybody else at fucking Sakuya or wherever they're grinding. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. As long as we properly assess what changed and try to fix it, I have no problem with it, really.
So I need Illyri was doing some testing way back in the day, like a month or 2 ago, on damage scaling with pets, and I'm curious, Illyri Despins, if you go back and test again, like maybe after a couple weeks when the damage, because the damages are kind of wonky. I don't know, like it's like the disparity between classes and pets and stuff is like huge right now in Global Labs. It's wild, but I'm curious if like Giants drafts now actually affect the pet, like the special attack damage and your crit bonus and all that stuff, because it didn't before.
Yeah, because they had their own stats. Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, because that would be, with the Giants draft is huge, because 10% extra damage, if your pets literally just deal 10% extra damage, is gigantic in PvP and PvE. And if they're affected by monster AP, like is it just full on scaling? Like it's just your damage now. I don't know. But yeah, it actually someone's saying, can someone name all the classes that are affected by pets? It actually affects a lot more classes than people think. Musa has pets, Kuno has pets, Sork, Corsair, Striker, Mystic. There's a ton. There's like skills like Delighted Blast or Sinew Cut where it kind of throws something out to deal damage. Like those count as pets.
Yeah. Anything that creates an object basically can be counted as a pet.
Yeah, Nova, Striker, the casters, like there's
I
a
wonder
whole
if
bunch.
Zerker 200% will actually do damage now. Awakening.
Oh, is that a pet thing too?
I have no idea. All I know is it does negative damage.
What is that? Isn't it just a series of lame explosions?
Yeah, so I feel like it probably is a pet because it essentially sets a point on the ground that like causes several explosions.
Okay. Yeah, probably then.
And it's always done negative damage even though it looks pretty dope, which is sad.
Now, I'll say as someone who dreams of a day where I can grind efficiently on a Succession Nova and never lose my spot to someone ever again, I love that the PvE is going to be good if these pets actually scale. Although the PvP could be scary. All right, so ebuffs. They buffed ebuffs. I don't know if they're done buffing them. I guess there's gonna still be more, but they added additional stats to some of the e-buffs. So let me go through and try to find some of these ones. Tamers didn't get touched. Theirs is one of the worst. Moose's Prime Eye of the Storm and Moose's Soul now have 20% move speed and melee accuracy plus 15%. Meiwa also 20% and plus 20 AP now for 30 seconds have been added to General Apricot skill.
That's our E buff. It's that's actually
Say it. Don't say e buff. Say the name.
General Apricot. That's how
General
I say it.
Apricot. There it is.
The one thing in the changes that they did for Meiwa this week that really pisses me off is the retaliation one where they took the KD off for PvP. This is an example of them trying to push us out of pre-awaken.
Has this said anything to do with the e-buffs?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But when you had the changes up, and it just made me like
just
rage
reminded
a little
you
bit.
that you're mad.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
just reminded me of my rage.
Okay. Stop taking stuff away from Meiwas, dude. They've lost enough. All right. What are some of the other ones? Where are these? Hash was on there too. Where is it? I don't see Dark Knights. Don't see Striker or Mystic. Archer got plus 20 AP and hit rate 12% for 30 seconds on their e-buff. And then the Hash Succession e-buff got critical hit chance plus 30% for 30 seconds. And then the Awakening got plus 20 AP and critical damage plus 15%. So those are pretty fucking big. Those are huge. Like, there's still a lot that are pretty awful, but there's a lot more that are good now. I do know if you want to take a moment to complain about Musa Meiwa, I love that meme on Reddit that's like,
I didn't see this.
dude, there was a Reddit meme that was like, they're Pearl Abyss in a meeting, and one of the Pearl Abyss execs is like, hey, should we add 20% move speed to the Musa Meiwa e-buff? And they're like, well, but Chase isn't affected by move speed anymore. And then the guy's like, exactly.
it's so funny. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So my logic was, okay, so I get it. When we run out of stamina, we need to walk to a spot after you burn all your stamina in a large scale fight. You need to walk your ass to the next position.
Hey, you know who that's going to be a buff to? Kyrene, all right? He was like, of any of the Mooses I've ever
But he
fought,
doesn't play
he walks
Meiwa.
the most. No, on his Musa.
Oh, did they do it?
Yeah, they did it
for
to Musa too, yeah.
Okay.
I want to find the...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here's the meme. I'll share it in the chat. It's pretty funny. Dev 1, we should add movement speed buff to Meiwa's E-buff. Dev 2, but we made them immune to movement speed buffs. Dev 1, correct.
That's so fucking great,
dude. That's so
they
fucking
do
good.
they do some interesting things, to say the least. I kind of feel that that's kind of like maybe an indicator that they'll probably let the movement speed buffs affected again. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just confused by it. I am completely confused by it.
Well, it's like I don't know, what is the Meiwa buff off the top of my head? I can't remember. What does the Meiwa E buff give already?
It gives a lot. 30% crit, 15% melee accuracy. Now it gives 20% attack speed too. Now it gives an additional 20 AP and 20% movement speed.
Yeah. I mean, the movement speed, I mean, it's kind of like that on a lot of classes. It's very weird.
Yeah,
I don't know why they keep throwing in movement speed. It's like just strange. General Apricot. I hate that e-buff name, by the way.
Yeah, it's not something to be.
Yeah, they could have just added, instead of 20% move speed, add like 10% critical hit damage or something.
Wait,
like
what
that.
the fuck? Why do you have a level 60 Meiwa? Have you been low key making a Meiwa on the side?
Dude, my Meiwa, this is my main, dude. I had to learn Meiwa so that way I can argue with you guys.
You wanted to participate in the complaints. That's really what it is.
I just went on Global Lab on my Meiwa because I have a level 60 Meiwa on live. So I went on Global Lab and I was like, this sucks. I loved my class before these changes and now it's trash. You know, I don't know. I just wanted to feel what it's like, and I did.
Hey, to be fair, I haven't been saying that. The only thing I complain about is the stub arrow change because they make us do this fucking stupid RP animation shit where I gotta find an arrow in my quiver that doesn't exist. Put the fucking quiver in there at least. Give me my fucking realize.
It is interesting that they fixed that on Musa and not Meiwa.
Yeah, at least give me my fucking quiver.
Yeah, Musa
You're gonna make me
got
do
the
this
archer.
bullshit.
Musa got the archer crossover outfit, so they have a quiver. You guys don't, losers.
Yeah, fucking unreal. Like, if you're gonna make me go through the hassle of the RP shit, at least make it believable.
All right, so Tamer ebuff. I don't know if like Tamer ebuff's weird because they also have the pet buff, and a lot of people consider that their ebuff, but it does have a longer cooldown. Their ebuff outside of that is pretty lame. But anyway, they're buffing the ebuffs. They also mentioned in the dev note, so it's not just the ebuffs, but also the, I guess, passives. Let me see what they said about the passives. So they say on the topic here, defensive effects. The skill must have a defensive sec. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, this is. Let me go. Where's the passive thing? They mentioned the passives here somewhere. Oh god. All right. We're using the search. Oh, maybe passive effects is the very end. Here we go. We're also planning to work 3-minute buffs and passives. In the case of 3-minute buffs, these changes will specifically target classes whose buffs are lacking when compared to other classes. As for passives, we're checking for effects that are inefficient or only geared toward a specific path. We're also considering other options. These options include sorting classes into groups that would have a selection of passive effects to choose from specific to that group, or just simply focusing on passive skills that enhance a class's unique characteristics. Now, I don't know exactly, again, their wording is always so fucking weird on this, so I can't extrapolate exactly what they mean. But in a perfect world where I'm daydreaming of an awesome, cool change that they would do, which they probably won't, but god damn, it would be cool. For example, I see a lot of Meiwas and Musas that are like, they need to buff our evasion passive, right? It's not good enough. But then there's other Meiwas and Musas that don't care about evasion. They would love to either have like DR, HP, or something like damage. It would be awesome if there was like a 10-level passive tree that you either pick one or the other, depending on what you're going for. That would be really cool. Zerker too, like, I don't know if Choice wanted to stack evasion and then a different person wanted to stack HP, or a third person wanted to stack DR or whatever. Like, that would be really cool if there were choices. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool idea. Like, there's so many different opinions on what should be done with those passives, at least from the Meiwa community. Some want additional stamina on there. Some want accuracy for some weird reason, like we don't have enough. Some want crit damage bonuses. Some want a higher crit chance than what it is or whatever. Yeah. On some of the other passes, maybe not specifically the ones you're referring to, but.
So Illyria just said he went and tested that. He said that crit damage buffs did not affect the pets, but monster AP did directly. That there was an immediate difference. So that
means you could definitely see a significant increase in PvE output then.
Yeah, maybe that's because I had my Kuda and my Black Star. Maybe that's why I was deleting shit. Because that's a lot of, like, dude, on my main character, I mean, you have like 180 AP or 107. I forget what it is off the top of my head, but you have like 100 plus monster AP that pets just were not affected by, which is just a huge amount of like loss.
Wasted stats, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so here's the big one. Well, Rez, did you have any comments on the passive stuff?
Not really.
Would you want a choice, or you think they just need to make everyone have one passive that's good?
No, I think a choice would be good. I'm always in favor of more player diversity.
Okay. So resistances. I'm gonna pull this up into a new tab.
It's funny with how player diversity works out, though. Generally speaking, the players just choose the meta choice.
They do choose the meta choice, but in the instance of like there being evasion or a separate, like that one, I could see actually being pretty split. Maybe not down the middle, but you know. Okay, so here's their resistance post. I'm gonna read this in full. Here we go. 5th topic: resistance. And last but not least, resistance. Resistance was a system that was added with Black Desert's combat system and large-scale conquest war in mind. It serves to stop characters from being bombarded by constant CC and debuffs during combat. I like that debuffs is in there, even though they don't prevent any debuffs. It would be nice if they did that. Like if resistances prevented slows, I think people would be pretty hyped.
It
Anyway,
would be actually pretty ridiculous.
nevertheless, many adventurers have expressed their frustration with the system in small-scale fights and 1v1 situations, as it caused combos to break due to the opponent's resistance. For example, resisting a knockdown even while they are stunned. We empathize with this feedback and have decided to make some changes while keeping the main framework of the resistance system. Now, the ignore resistance effect will be applied to the maximum applicable PvP resistance rather than the overall resistance, which was max 100%. The previous ignore resistance system was deemed ineffective, but with this change, it will feel much more impactful. Since it is possible to obtain up to a maximum of 50% ignore resistance with existing gear and buffs. Now, I don't know if this means there's a cap or if this means they're just saying that's how much you theoretically could get. This is where I'm kind of like torn, but I'm not too sure. So they say, since it's possible to obtain up to a maximum of 50% ignore resistance with existing gear and buffs, we will also be increasing the maximum resistance value from 60% to 80%. So with 50% ignore resist, this will leave an opponent with a maximum resist of 30%. So in their image here that they show, basically on the left, the before is, even though the PvP resists are capped at 60%, if they have adamantine crystals, for example, that brings their resist all the way to 100%, and you have ignore resist 50%, it only brings them down to 50% resists. But in the new system, their max PvP resist is going up to 80%, but now the ignore resist starts working from that PvP cap, the 80%. So if they have all resist 100% from adamantines, your ignore resist is instead going to bring them down to 30% resists. So yeah, it's, so that change overall is really nice for consistency, and especially if you're someone that has to deal with like
And
using
also
knockdowns.
knowing how the system works too.
And also knowing how the system works. Now, they didn't address the fact that there's a floor, which right now the floor is 20%. Like, you could have, even if they have only 20, like if they have 30% all resist and you have ignore resist 30%, they're still going to resist like 20% of the time, which I also still kind of hate. And then it's like not clear if this cap is actually 50% or if that they're just saying theoretically with gear, they're just giving like a number for the sake of example. I don't know. That's the thing that's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. So, and then they say, furthermore, we plan to increase options to ignore an opponent's resistance and increase the character's resistance. This is to ensure we don't have resistance build that are best for all, but rather optimal build unique to each class. Of course, we will also be constantly analyzing how this update affects both small and large-scale battles and make necessary changes to items and buff effects to enable a variety of strategic options. And then they go through and highlight a bunch of ways to get ignore resist. So, yeah. I guess, Nyashi, starting with you. Your feeling on this change. Oh, Nyashi, I think, had to go. Rez, your feeling on this change.
Resistances, huh?
Yeah, did you miss everything I said?
No, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I don't know, man. I fucking hate resistances.
Yeah.
I kind of just wish they were removed. I don't know. The more I'm like, the more I see people try to fix resistances, the more I'm just like, dude, should they even be in the game? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when they talk about like large scale, because you're getting hit by so much stuff, like right after the CC changes, for example, right when the CC changes happen, if you remember, like people were not protected, right? Like you had a lot of openings, you had a lot of skills that you had to use that were not protected. And it kind of, I kind of understood, even though I hated it, I kind of understood having resists because you're just getting hit by so much stuff and you're not able to rotate protection back then. But now everyone is so protected. You have such a like immense protected rotation on so many classes that it's like, I don't know. I mean, even like as a Suck Kuno going into Node War, I know like that one's like one of the least of any of the classes, and I don't want resists, even as like Kuno. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of the resist either, and I wish that they instead just made it work in PvE and maybe change the PvP portion of it to actually affect debuffs, like they say in their little explanation here. Like if resist were, you had a chance to not get slowed, or a chance to not get DP debuffed, or a chance, like that would make more sense. Even though I don't want RNG in general, but like, I don't know. The CC thing is weird just because people are so protected.
I don't know if you asked me a question.
Yeah, I asked your initial thoughts on the change in general.
So I think it's in the positive direction. Do I think it's probably everything that should be done? Hard to say. Probably not. I mean, people generally have a really, strong despise for how resistances are right now. But we'll see how things land. This is like a minimalistic approach to like a change, and I think that's fine. Honestly, like do incremental changes to see how people feel about it. If people want more, do more. So I don't see a problem with this. I think it's fine the way they approached it. It'll definitely help a little bit. How much? Who knows? I mean, 20, like based on how the graph explains it, essentially 20% additional chance to CC with like a bound or a knockdown. Like that's pretty huge for a lot of classes. Like Ranger, Sork, what are insert other examples. But yeah, I think that's going to be a big issue. Not solution for them, but maybe like in the right direction for them.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. Like I said, I think incremental changes are probably the best approach for this particular request.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Jax is pointing out if you have like a full setup, like if you have basically the build that I'm running, because I have 2 ignore resist crystals in my offhand, the ones that you can make from the war.
Cancer.
How they're ignore resist? They're ignore resist. How is it part of the cancer?
I'm sorry. I misheard you.
Oh, I have the ones because I'm sick of people resisting my shit, so I have ignore float resist in my offhand. But if you run Nuver with those 2 crystals, you have 54% resist. If with Kudum, it's 64%, which is why I'm like, are they implementing a new cap, or is this just an example? I kind of am curious.
It's just an example.
I hope it's an example, because I hope it's an example. But I also would love if they also lowered the floor to maybe 10% instead of 20.
That'd probably be good. Because then that would be really impactful if you have a bunch of ignore. Because then, you can basically nullify anyone's chance to resist you ever. Almost.
Yeah. So, I don't know. In general, it's still nice that at least that it's being addressed a little bit, but I think most people would be happy if it went away completely. But we'll see. I need to experience it. I mean, if it comes through and there's no cap, I don't know. I might end up like. Do you think that this is gonna stop? Like, do you think people are gonna take out adamantines if this comes through?
No, those rejects have no choice but to keep going with it.
I mean, they're borderline going to be not ineffective, but less effective. Plus, the crystal choices now I think do make it tough, because if you weren't running a special attack evasion, like with the new special attack evasion crystals that give HP, like that's a lot of stats you're missing out. Or if you aren't running the new Alucas crystals, like that's also a lot of stats you're missing out on. I think it becomes harder and harder, especially with this change, to run adamantines.
Yeah, it definitely kind of forces some people's hands that were kind of like not really feeling it before, but they had to do it because it was meta. They might swap to some, sort of real crystals instead of this fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
But which ultimately would improve
further the experience of resistances as far as KDs and bounds are concerned. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm kind of like happy that they did an incremental change, like a little bit of a smaller approach to dealing with resistances, because it's so easy for it to make it like super impactful, and I think this is going to be impactful enough. Like you said yourself, like this could force people out of what is currently the meta gems, and that in and of itself already makes it infinitely easier to CC with the bound and knockdown, which makes them more frequently used, and people are going to be happier on the classes that rely on them heavily. So I think that'll have positive ramifications throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Although people are going to want to use them anyway still, if they do like zones that have a lot of KDs, like
Right.
if people still grind golems or whatever.
All right, so I'm gonna power through some of these. I'm just gonna go through a little bit of the class changes and then a couple other things. Knockbacks are now at 0.7 second CC, similar to Stiffen. So if you're a ranger, for example, that uses Waltz for a CC, it's no longer going to count as a 1.0 CC, like a stun or a knockdown or a bound or a float. It's instead going to be like a stiff. So you could knock someone back and then float them and then refloat them, or knock them back and then knock them down and then knock them down. So this affects a lot of classes: Archer, Ranger, Sorks,
it's huge for Archer.
It's big for Archer. It's big for Ranger. I don't know. Does Zerker have anything with knockback? It's huge for Striker too. Fist of True Strength.
That's true. They do knockback every once in a while.
I think for your average Zerker, it's not going to be big, but for the really good ones that like are constantly coming up with new combos and stuff, it's going to be pretty interesting.
How PA the week before, like changes a bunch of classes CCs. Like Maywas, for example, they moved some of the KBs to a stun or whatever on our like arrow, for example, and like our kick, or you said Kuno's kick got changed, right?
Kuno, the Lunatic Discus lost its knockback last week.
Yeah,
now I want it back so badly.
Yeah, so
Please.
they take the KBs away and give us more useful CCs, and then they buff the KB to be a useful CC. It's like, what the fuck?
Dude, please give it back. I want it now so badly. Yeah, it's going to affect Hash too, because Rupture, the thing is with Rupture is it's a knockback on the first hit and a float on the explosion.
Oh, really?
So now that's actually so nuts, because before you basically had to try to just deal some damage the short time they're on the ground if that happens.
Yeah, they can actually combo off it.
Yeah, now you can refloat or re-CC, which is kind of nuts. Which also makes my crystals all the better, because my crystals are the 10% ignore, knockback, and float resist. That's why I want that. I want that knockback so bad on Kuno. Please give it back. Anyway, so that's pretty huge for them. I'm gonna go through some of these CC. There are some CC changes that are pretty significant. Prime Ultimate Blasting Gust lost its knockdown. It's PvE only. However, Prime Descending Current is now a bound in PvP, and they changed the cooldown to 10 seconds. Prime Penetrating Wind is now a stun. And Prime Charging Wind, which had a knockback apply only to mobs and a knockdown apply only to mobs, is now a knockback on successful hit and knockdown on successful charge hit. So they have a couple new CCs. And then Penetrating Wind cooldown increased from 6 seconds to 7. Prime Tearing Arrow, I don't know. So they got some CC change, which is kind of nuts. Descending Current being a bound is kind of wild. I haven't actually gotten a chance to talk to Rangers to see how they feel about that. I know some Rangers are worried about like the Polyforce type grind, where now the cooldown is longer, so the on cooldown damage is reduced for longer.
Why are they?
Well, you know, just
grinding Polyforce.
Well, anywhere you grind where you're actually like just killing mobs with Descending Current.
Oh,
I was just using that one as an example.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Sork lost the knockdown on Ultimate Dark Flame, but they got super armor on Shadow Eruption. which is interesting. And then Suck Sork got a bunch of damage buffs. Awaken Sork's new skill got a little bit of a damage buff as well. The Dark Flame thing for Awakening, not that big a deal. For Suck, losing that KD actually kind of sucks. Zerker, you guys lost the knockdown effect on Beast Roar on the last hit, Rez. How's that feel? And then they added a stun to Fearsome Tyrant and Prime Fearsome Tyrant.
It's a pretty nothing change. I mean, sometimes you would catch people with it randomly if they like were bad. But yeah, like it doesn't do anything really.
Zerker got a new skill, Flow Burst Cannon. Have you messed with this?
Yeah, so I saw that and I was wondering what exactly that was. I see it's a flow, so is it a flow that is casted? Because I don't have access to Global Labs, or I suppose I don't.
I was
have
messing with it. You can just raw cast it. It's kind of similar to like Seismic Blast, I guess. It's slow by itself. I don't know if there's anyone in chat that has tested this. Does it combo well? Okay, you can cancel with it. So can you do like a faster version? Pretty sure you could just do a faster version, but the number's pretty nuts on it. At least I don't know how actually good it is, but it has a Seismic Blow vibe to it. And it's forward guard, no CC. The number of hits of Flow Split Shot has increased from 3 hits to 4, and Flow Split Shot has been changed so it can now be used during cooldown.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I wonder how much the damage gets reduced in PvP. Like off cooldown, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Flows with GD, G-Lift, Seismic, and SS. So Split Shot, what's GD?
General Disarray.
Oh, okay.
Most likely. General Disarray, you said G-Lift, that's ground lifting. Seismic, obviously, and then SS is Split Shot. So that's interesting.
You can cancel with it to get quicker Giant Leap out after engage.
Oh! Interesting. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, so that one needs some testing. In theory, it's got some interesting uses. I don't know how clunky it feels though. But
yeah,
yeah, it does have a little bit. Well, it's weird. Like the initial explosion, like you saw the GIF animation, right, Rez?
Yeah, I saw the GIF.
The initial explosion is kind of right in front of him, but there's this weird like that 701 times 1 max 12 hits thing is like has range. Like it actually goes pretty far, and I don't know if that's. It looks like pet damage because it happens so delayed. But I have no idea. It doesn't say it's pet damage. It's not separated that way, but it's very odd. I don't know. The damage comes out very weird. Anyway, so that was the Zerk one. I know you didn't get a chance to mess with it. I know Suck Zerkers after this patch are definitely unhappy. Overall, I think Awakened Zerkers are a little bit more happy, except for obviously the grab stuff affects them. Tamer. Tree Climb has been changed. It no longer will automatically attack. You have to hold the F key for it to do the attack. The invincibility no longer lingers, so it doesn't happen during the end animation anymore. And the skill has been changed to recover stamina. From the moment you're no longer in iframe, it starts recovering stamina now. So that end part that they lingered iframe, that didn't recover stamina, now doesn't linger iframe, but does recover stamina. After using skill, it's been changed to smoothly link with other skills. You can now use WW Evasion directly into it, so you can go iframe directly into Tree Climb iframe. Not listed here. Scratch no longer stiffens, which I know tamers are super upset about. Yeah, that one's rough. That's a rough change.
Actually huge.
That's huge. That's pretty huge. Prime Frontal Guard. Or what? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
That's one of their fast CCs.
That's one of their fast CCs. That one's rough. I deep in my gut, I feel like that's gonna get complained enough that they'll change it. The problem with that change too is that it's not in the notes, which makes it even hurt more. Yeah, it's not in the notes.
That might just be a bug then.
Yeah, but it's like it's in the skill description.
Oh, yeah, that's deliberate then.
Yeah, it says in parentheses applies to monsters only.
They wanted to fuck you guys without you knowing it.
Also, soaring frontal guard knockback is gone. Yeah, and then they made some changes to some of their awakening stuff. Beast Rampage got a damage buff. Their new skill got a damage buff. The blue magic attack power increase changed from 5 seconds to 10. They buffed Flow Soaring Strike. They buffed the damage of Flow Full Moon. All Around Spinner got a damage buff. Legendary Beast Dance got a damage buff. Prime Throat Burn got a damage buff. Prime Upward Claw and Prime Roaring all got damage buffs as well. And then Moose got the buff. Meiwa got its new skill. You want to give us the TLDR on the new skill?
Do you want me to go through the description I gave you? All right, so the new skill is pretty cool in its own way. A lot of people are complaining about its animation, feeling it's reused. Basically, they took the first stab of Old Moonrise, elongated its reach, and on the second part, they took basically the second hit of Frostflower and attached it to it. So it's a little interesting. I like the skill. I like its lunge, reach, and stun, followed by its damage output. I think it's a really good combo piece and potential catch option. It's unprotected, which is fine for what it does. However, what I was kind of telling you, Frosty, is I feel like the skill would have been nice like a year or so ago, a couple of years ago or something like that. But like right now, I kind of feel like it's not what I was expecting. It's not what I was needing for the kit.
I mean, you just need an iframe, right?
We need an iframe. We just need one iframe. I don't understand why it's so fucking difficult to give us a fucking iframe. I like the skill. Don't get me wrong. I like it, but it's just not what we needed, in my opinion.
I got
now, mind you,
it's still a cool skill and will give you some combo potential stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. The thing with it though is like I got to give it some time for me to get used to it. To be perfectly honest, to see how I really truly feel about it after having like some amount of time. I've only spent like 30 minutes with it. To be fair. I talked with some other Meiwas. Some like it. Some feel it's like not necessary, just like how I feel. I'm not mad about it, so I'm not like gonna complain and go on Reddit and start typing like a whole bunch of shit. So no.
Bask said the skill's fine, but also very mad. I don't care one way or another for it, but I felt that way about Frostflower. Now I use it constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Frostflower initially, I think when me and you first talked about Frostflower when it first came out, like I was pretty excited about the skill, but then I was like, but it's not protected because I was comparing it to all the other classes' new skill, right? But then, from a combo point of view, it's a really strong skill, Frostflower, that is. So I was actually ended up using it quite often, and it's a very versatile skill in a 1v1 scenario. Not so much large scale, but yeah. So this is going to be kind of the same kind of thing. It's going to be more 1v1 focus. You could probably fit it into a large scale if you're like in a 1v1 fight, but not really used. And
so
just
I'll give the proper TLDR for you. It's an interesting skill. There's some cool stuff you can do with it. Sleet Step still needs to be an iframe though.
Yes, 100%. That is the sum dub.
Noted.
Thank you, Frosty, for the clipping out my entire thing.
You're welcome. We'll cut that in post. Rez timestamp the cut. The knockdown effect of retaliation skills has been changed to apply only to monsters, and they added frontal guard to Carver and Prime Carver.
Yeah, so the frontal guard is really good. That's a good change. That's all there is to it.
They basically swapped it from retaliation to Carver, I guess, right?
No, so it's retaliation,
like protected CC in a sense.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. In that case, yes. So yeah, I'm not happy about the retaliation change, but at the same time, the Carver change is better than that. So
worth.
Yes, it's worth in a way. Yes.
Okay. Valkyrie, the bound on divine power changed to apply only to monsters. This is for both the normal ultimate divine power, but also the prime. And super armor has been added. This is the skill that when it first came out was like a crazy nuke, and then they nerfed it by 64%, which is crazy to think about. Like I think that's the only skill that's been nerfed by like that high of a number in one single patch. But
What is it? What was it nerfed?
I think it was nerfed. If I remember correctly, maybe Valks can correct me, but when it got nerfed, it was nerfed by 64% damage in PvP.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was like one-shotting whole groups. It was fucking crazy. But anyway, that skill now is super armor. I believe in the initial launch of the rework, or maybe the last week's patch, they lowered the cooldown a little bit. So you can use it a little bit more often. Down smash of Judgment of Light has been added. Judgment of Light now no longer stuns multiple times. It's only a stun on the first hit. That's the beams of light that come down. Okay, here, yeah. Divios has it. Prime Divine Power. PvP damage reduced by approximately 64% when using Ultimate Divine Power. Yeah, that's what it was. It was fucking high. It's crazy. They also added a crit or 100% crit for PvE on the skill. Prime Glory of Enslar skill has been improved so that the invincibility effect is applied when the skill is activated. So they have an iframe at the start of that skill, and then they gave them additional damage to Glaring Slash, but nerfed the damage of Enslar by 1 hit. And then Awakening, let's see. Awakening got more damage on Divine Impulsa. Didn't get their frontal guard back yet. I'm sure they're hoping for that. Castigadio now has 20% crit in or 50% crit in PV instead of 20. And then Sacrum Ferret now has 2 additional hits, or the flow to it. It's 2 additional hits. Wizard Witch got some fucking crazy changes. All right, are you guys ready for this?
Oh god.
Wizard
here we
Witch,
go.
dude, do you even know these yet, Nyashi?
No, I don't.
We get his live
we get
reaction.
Nyashi's
Yes!
first look, dude.
Woo, we get Nyashi. All right, here we go.
That
So
also means that he does not read my messages in our group chat because I definitely
I did.
talked about
No.
it there.
All right. So yes, I did see you mention something, but
Okay.
I will admit that I kind of skimmed them.
He skimmed it. All right, here we go. So they got the movement speed reduction added back to magical absorption, which is one of the things that when we had Whizbelly on, he was complaining about. Flow magical evasion cooldown has been changed from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. That's their super armor side dash. Dagger stab got lowered from 18 seconds to 10 seconds, which is funny because I saw a Reddit post that screenshotted that and was like, who the hell asked for this? And I literally was like, I saw Whizbelly in the comments and I was like, Whizbelly was asking for this. So he wanted this so bad. Remember, he was like, dude, why is it 18 seconds? No, he didn't deny it. He's like, I don't know. He did. I think in the Reddit post, he put like, I don't know who asked for this. And I was like, I replied to him. I was like, this motherfucker asked for this for sure. Magic Lighthouse cooldown got reduced from 20 seconds to 15. Magic Lighthouse is the quick heal, right? Not the...
No, so Magic Lighthouse is Shift E. It's the big AoE
it's the
slow
big one.
heal,
Okay.
not the Rabomb heal. I think.
Oh, it's the red orb. Oh, the red orb. Okay. Never mind, not the heal.
Wait, the
that's healing
red
lighthouse.
orb?
Yeah, that's healing lighthouse. That's why I'm inting here. The red orb
I
is
know
healing.
Magic Lighthouse isn't the red orb.
Dude, why are they skills all named
Is
the same
it?
thing? Well, now I'm gonna check so I know no one's lying. I gotta make sure.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Go check.
We gotta learn our classes, Rez.
Well, then again, I don't know what red orb is called, so maybe that is red orb.
Yeah, Magic Lighthouse changed from 20 seconds to 15, which I think is kind of nice because although it's still 15 seconds, depending on where you're grinding, 15 seconds still doesn't let you use it every pack, but now they'll be able to use it almost every single pack. So there you go. Succession. Prime Bolide of Destruction now has a bound effect when hitting in PvP. Skills have changed to link more naturally, so you can combo in and out of it a little bit better. Casting speed has been increased when linking skills with other skills. The skill damage got increased by 103% per hit.
Damn.
They changed to apply the evasion debuff on Prime Aquagel when they do the instant cast version. Instant cast version. And then Nyashi, you ready? Is your
Yep.
seatbelt buckled?
Yeah.
Super armor effect has been added to Prime Voltaic Pulse.
Oh, I think that's what I read.
Yeah, that's what you read.
Yeah.
That's what you read.
Yeah, so yeah. They got it back.
Yeah.
Fucking whiners.
Well, all right. So they replace. Now, this is obviously just a straight up buff, but I do want to talk about this a little bit. They changed Prime Frigid Fog Disrupt. They buffed the damage of it. So it's now 1322% times 5 instead of 1102. The movement speed reduction on it changed from 50% for 4 seconds to 30% for 5. So it got a longer duration but a lower reduction. The skill's been changed to rotate according to the camera, and the freezing effect has been changed to apply only to mobs on Prime Frigid control.
That is
on control.
huge. That is huge.
Yeah, so on Prime Frigid control, the freezing effect is PvE only. And then they buffed Prime Equilibrium Break damage for the class as well. So they're going to be able to super armor bound you with Voltaic and flow into their Frigid Fog combo smoothly, but it's not going to have the freeze effect. Now, here's the thing. I understand it's a buff. Like, it's overall a buff for most of you guys in a lot of the situations you're in, okay? I just need wizards and witches to understand what it's like being frozen from the opposite point of view, because I know what happens a lot of the time. What happens a lot of time for casters is they look at the freeze as a bad thing, because when a player gets out of the freeze or they get up from the combo starting with a freeze, it feels bad, and they remember those bad moments feeling bad. But what they don't remember is that for all of us who have to deal with the freeze, you guys don't remember the times where you accidentally freeze us in large scale and somebody else kills us. Because while I understand there's damage reduction during the freeze portion of the freezing effect, there is not damage reduction during the bound portion, and I can still be re-CC'd again. So in large scale, when I get accidentally frozen, so this used to happen all the time. This is why when I did the elephant in the room letter, I wasn't necessarily asking for Voltaic Pulse to get nerfed. I was asking for Frigid Fog to not have that freeze, because what happens is, like, if I see a wizard come in, I prepare for the Voltaic Pulse, and then my protection ends and I get frozen, then I end up dying anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, this change is interesting. I don't know. I think most wizards and a lot of people are pissed about this. A lot of non-casters are pissed and think caster meta's coming back, and I hate to break it to you, casters already been really strong, but a lot of casters, this made them feel really, really, really bad when this change happened. So I kind of want to see how it plays out. The game is a little bit different than it was back in May 26th. So May 26th, when they got nerfed, a bunch of classes got buffed that same day, and now there's, like, Nova kind of rose to prominence. Sage is really strong. Corsair exists now, and classes in the reworks are getting, like, buffed. So it's going to be a different landscape. So I don't know. I'm not as fearful as everyone else is about this change, but what about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay now. I mean, getting rid of the freeze is helpful, because that was, like, part of the issue. It's like, but the main problem that I had with Voltaic was they could teleport in from fucking nowhere and peel immediately by teleporting, and then immediately Voltaic and CCing you, and it'd be protected to boot, right?
Yeah.
So when the protection was taken away, it was at least risky, right? So yeah, I don't know.
Rez?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Like, I don't know. I've played quite a bit of Suck Wizard, like, post changes in, like, RBFs and stuff. Like, you don't even get CC'd out of it that often. I don't know. It literally, all it did was it made it to where they can't just dive straight in the middle of people. You have to play more around the edges, which, I don't know. Like, dude, that class is still so strong. Like, people, I think everyone re-rolled off of it because of Sage, and then Corsair, and then Nova, and, like, all that stuff. But, like, it's still, like, a super powerful class. So I don't know. It's whatever. I'm tired of arguing about literally the best class in the game for large scale since this game existed. I'm tired of trying to argue that maybe it shouldn't be. It's such a boring conversation at this point. I don't really care.
Yeah, I think it's
Like, oh no, the witches and wizards feel bad. Oh, they're poor little witches and wizards. They weren't the strongest class in large scale for like 5 seconds when Suck Sage was around. Oh no, we have to buff them. That is fucking whatever.
I like this voice. All right, let's move on to Awakening. Awakening got a lot of interesting stuff as well. Their flow magical evasion also got a reduction in cooldown from 5 to 4 seconds. The abnormal status effect when acquiring core bolide is changed from a bound to a knockdown, which is pretty interesting. A down smash effect has been added to Call of Fire skill. The range has been adjusted so that the Call of Fire can hit even near the character. Baptism of water has changed. Improvements have been made to smoothly link with elementalization skills. After an attack, the skill behavior has changed. Movement distance increased. The skill damage changed from 1137 times 10 to 1500% times 10. And the PvP damage changed from 60% to 55%, the damage reduction. Elemental skill has been changed to activate more smoothly. After Chilling Wave skill is activated, the next skill has been modified to activate more smoothly. And then the summons got some kind of new effects, either additional hits or burn damage and defense effects and all sorts of stuff. Now, this was really cool because they kind of went and did some fun. Oh, God, where's this clip? Someone sent it to me. Let me find it. It was on, I think it was on YouTube. There's a clip of these wizard changes that are, they changed the animation on some of the stuff and it's really cool. So for example, when you use Aqua Jail with Arn out, it's a completely different animation than when you use Aqua Jail with the Marg out or whatever. So here's kind of a video that kind of demos some of the stuff. So you'll see some of the new animations. So they changed that new SQ now. It puts like this wall of like 6 or 7 red blinking beams that all fire missiles forward. It looks really fucking cool. Like it's like one of the coolest animations. I love that animation. And because it's pet damage now scales with your AP, you'll see him use, the second skill he uses here is the new forward R&B skill. What everyone is calling the T-pose skill. It's just faster now and does a lot more damage. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's like Void Gateway. I don't know if it's cooler. We're just tired of Void Gateway. The backup animation now, the S spacebar, he uses it after he uses forward R&B. It's much faster now. It also lets you move out of the end of it a little bit faster than before too, so you're not stuck for as long. And then if you look at in the 37-second mark, Rez, look at the new Aqua animation when Arn is out. It like has this bubble and Arn like spins around. It looks fucking cool.
Yeah, it looks way better.
Yeah, it looks badass. And then you kind of see him do this combo at the end that looks crazy. Like if you look, I don't know, their combos, like the way Bolide links together with stuff now, like their combos are actually kind of interesting. Like I don't know, I don't play Wizard, so I can't say exactly how a normal Wizard combo feels, but like it actually feels like the combos are going to be way more fun to use. Like look at that combo at the end. It starts around 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty cool. And then Witch got some changes as well to their skills. And now they're kind of differentiated a little bit here, but they got the cooldown to magical evasion as well from 5 to 4 seconds. Earth's Call has been changed as follows. The down smash has been effect has been added. They also have a new animation, their SQ, and I think that one looks really cool too. Like these rocks like appear from the ground and then explode. Looks kind of nice. The movement of elemental skill has been changed to be smoother. That's the S spacebar. They changed. Now here they completely differentiated what Witch's skill does compared to Wizard. So you remember they both had basically the identical T-pose skill?
Yeah.
So now Wizards moves you faster and explodes when you land and does what is this damage number? 1500% times 10. The Witch one is now just a ranged ability that does 1677 times 10 and it has forward guard, so you like charge up and then just do this like AoE lightning explosion kind of far in front of you. You are kind of locked in the animation a little bit, and I don't know how much damage it actually is going to do in PvP because the damage has been changed to 70% reduction. So I don't know if that's actually going to hit hard in PvP with all that damage reduction, but yeah, it's a little bit different. And then I didn't see any new animations for their skills, but some, except for Voltaic Pulse has a little bit more of like a lightning absorb animation, like up in the sky around the character, but none of the other ones seemed different to me. And one of them, Thunderstorm, was bugged. Like every time you use Thunderstorm when you have Tet out, he like just starts zapping the air and he stays there forever, and it's like a visual bug. So when you were running around on Global Labs that night, there were like 40 Tets just blinking all over the map. It was like bugged. So that was the caster ones. I don't know. I think pretty cool stuff. Like the way they changed that S spacebar, the disengage, like their mobility feels better for sure.
Yeah, the Awakening seems to be getting some really dope changes, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a I don't wanna rat anyone out, but
right.
here's the dirty little secret. Awakening Wizard, pretty fucking strong right now.
It's pretty good,
Like
yeah.
on live.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's busted or anything, but it is pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah. All right, so Kuno Ninja. Let's see. Kuno Ninja, they actually added the tooltip to match like when you use Ghost Greeting, Oni Shadow, Sinew Cut, and Ninja Evasion. Flow Sky Stepping, the one where they can double jump in the air. They can like keep doing it as you're falling, which is kind of interesting. Reminds me of, like Sork's iframe, you know, when they're falling, like they just keep doing it over and over. It's kind of like that. Let's see. What else was kind of major here? Super Armor effect got added to Flash Slash while using skill. So Flash Slash is now Super Armor for the entire animation, which is
Crazy.
Which is pretty nuts. And that's both in Succession and Awakening. The Awakening version, I don't know if it's intended or not, but it doesn't give Super Armor when you use it from Chakram. You have to be in Pre-Awaken stance. But yeah, that skill now is Super Armor. They buffed Shackles and Flash Slash in Succession by adding 2 hits. That's for both PvP and PvE. They added 50% crit to Foxclaw for PvE only. They removed the invincible effect on Prime Crescent Slash and changed it to Super Armored before the attack. But it now starts immediately instead of just while you're moving. So I personally kind of like that, but I guess you could make an argument either way. In the state of, let's see, Succession Dota. Oh, they also added a new interface for the for the shards, like the runes that you get on Succession Kuno. And this is something that I love how it looks. Don't get me wrong. I think it's cool. It reminds me a lot of Striker Mystic 3 shard, the Martial Shards interface. The problem is the shards still also float around you and pop up on your buff bar. So we now have 3 ways to look at these shards, both in the independent interface, floating around your character, and on your buff bar. But the irony about it is now we have more ways to keep track of these shards, but with the rework, they basically made it so you don't have to manage them anymore. You just always have them because they don't go away when you use your abilities anymore. So like, I now have 3 different visual aids to help me keep track of shards that I don't really have to keep track of anymore. So thank you. That's fantastic.
That's like the KB change. They took away all the KBs and then they added it in.
Yeah.
They added in the change the KB to make it useful.
Lunatic Discus, they just changed the description. Nothing actually really changed. Lunar Dash, they fixed the keybind thing, and yeah, that's kind of it. So overall, I really like, dude, like the Succession PvE changes are cracked. They're actually like really cool. If they just make it so we don't have to jump to pull, like that shit's gonna be really fun. And then I hope they give us the knockback back on Lunatic Discus, please. Remove the protection, give the knockback. It'll be way, way better for the class. Ninja. So last week, if you guys remember, they added a cooldown to Alert Stance. So they removed that cooldown and instead made it so Alert Stance no longer recovers stamina while using the skill. And they also removed the Alert Stance from Blade Spin. And what did they add it to? They added it to like Blade Spin and Red Rain and something else. Now it's on Behead and Black Moonlight. Smokescreen, Evasive Malice, Behead, and Black Moonlight. They can use Alert Stance. They also gave them some PvE crit on malicious cut. Or no, I guess just all crit. Description invincible characters on added actual prime fatal blow. So prime fatal blow now it shows that it's an iframe. Black Moonlight got some PvE crit. Red Rain got PvE crit. Blade Spin now just always does the fast animation. You never have to press spacebar. And they removed the cooldown. So yeah. Kinda cracked. Oh yeah, and as a note for success for Kuno, the flash slash change, while it is protected for the whole thing now, it no longer lingers at all. The super armor ends immediately after the skill now. It doesn't have the linger anymore. Awakening. Core murderous intent change so they can be smoothly linked. Let's see. Awakening got mock explosion changed, got damage changes. Although the PvP damage is the same as before, and Serpent Ascension got some PvE damage changes as well. Alright, Dark Knight. Now Dark Knights continue to be upset with me. It's alright. I understand. The number of hits on one of the flows to Nocturne got an additional hit, one additional hit. Corrupt Ground now has 2 additional hits. Succession, Spirit Legacy got a damage buff. It basically is matching Spirit Legacy from Awakening. Prime Twilight Dash is now the same damage as the Awakening version. Prime Ravage Rake got a damage buff by way of just adding an additional hit to the last part. The damage of Prime Airstrike Flow, or Prime Airstrike damage got increased, which is pretty nice, because their flow is now super armor. 100% critical hit chance that applies only to monsters has been added to Prime Slanted Balance. Slanted Balance also lost its forward guard, and the range of the status effect on Prime Slanted Balance is applied has been slightly increased. So Prime Slanted Balance, so forward guard got removed from both of them, but the Prime version now has additional range, so it's like somewhat similar to Purge. This one is weird because some success. This is controversial to say. I'm just gonna say what some Dark Knights have told me. So calm down, Dark Knights. Most Dark Knights hate this change. Some Succession Dark Knights like the range on it and are okay with the change. You guys can debate that amongst yourselves. Definitely just a straight nerf to pre-awakening, obviously. Succession, I guess, like they're having a debate about it. Wheel of Fortune now no longer has an opening. On Awakening, the forward guard to flow bombardment has been removed, and it now has a stiffen effect, which is, I can't, even if someone paid me money, to try to justify this change, I can't do it personally. So DKs, I'm with you on this one. This one makes no sense whatsoever at all. Period, point blank. This is just a really, really bad change. The flow bombardment change. Cluster of Despair now has super armor. Their new version of Cluster of Despair. Spirit Hunt got a damage buff. The skill of Phantom Sword damage has changed from 976 to 1173. And let's see, the number of hits of Darkstar Cloud has changed. So the total damage on their Shift Q is the same, but when they do the canceled version, just the last hit. So if they do it after like Spirit Legacy, the last hit damage has 1 additional hit. So there you go. Pretty significant changes. I think most DKs are pretty upset. I mean, there's obviously some cool stuff in there, but I think they'd probably feel better if I think they were pretty fine with the way Slanted Balance worked, so probably didn't need to change that. And then also Flow Bombardment's just a bad change, so hopefully it gets reverted. I'm rooting for you, DKs. I'm rooting for you. Striker. The bound effect on Flow Rock Smash has been changed to apply only to mobs. Prime Rage Hammer now has a bound in PvP. This is also true with Mystic. Most Mystics I've talked to hate that change because it's their combo damage. Strikers seem to be a little bit more okay with it, but I don't know. Strikers have everything, so I think they'll just take whatever and not complain at this point. The stun effect of Prime Wolf's Fang has been changed so that it always applies even if you do not complete the flow prey hunt or charging. They also sped up the Wolf Fang in Awakening, like the pre-awaken version. It's just faster. So Divios again elated and hyped and so excited. Mystics pretty upset pretty regularly. Suck Mystics are not happy. They buffed Prime Hidden Claw damage. Which they don't use for damage. They use it for protection, so they're upset about that. Prime Rage Hammer having the bound now fucks up their combos a little bit because they have to use it. It uses all 3 of their shards. See, I got this down. I memorized all the things you guys complained about. You're welcome. Prime Tornado Kick has a little bit of a damage buff. Prime Soul Basher has a little bit of a damage buff. And they added critical hit chance to Fist Fury and Thunder Pound. And 25% crit only to mobs to Roaring Tiger, and crit damage added on Rage Hammer in PV as well. 100% crit damage. Or critical hit chance, sorry. Awakening. See, the Flow to Sea Burial has 2 additional hits. They buffed Rising Dragon's base damage and Gushing Water's base damage. So just a couple damage buffs. Also, the pet damage scaling, again, I don't know the implications for PvP, but for PvE, it's pretty fucking massive. Like, your PvE damage, whenever you use the dragons now, is cracked. Lawn. They gave the knockdown back to the Awakening Flow Dancing with Death skill. See, if you complain enough, they give you your stuff back. Look at that. You gotta focus your complaints. You gotta focus your complaints. Striker is royally fucked now. If I can't grab you, if I can't
for an
kill you.
iframe for years.
Well, the problem is you're not focusing. You're not focusing the complaint.
enough.
Well, though, you and the rest of the community, you know?
No, everyone pretty much wants an iframe.
You gotta be specific, dude. All right?
I mean, I don't know how much more specific we could be.
The grab and successful super armor effect. It's so weird that they added the super armor effect, like, change on success in the patch notes for Lawn. I don't think they did that for any of the other classes, even though it got added to everybody.
They just, like, they did Lawns and they're like, fuck it, I'm too lazy for this shit.
Yeah, they're like, maybe we shouldn't be writing this. They removed the frontal guard on 4-point splatter, and they added super armor back to Prime Salpuri Purge. So, there you go. And then Archer got their E-buff change. That's it, really. Hash got their E-buff change. Now, here's an interesting thing about Hash. So, remember earlier, I was saying I have a feeling they're going to make changes to some of the other classes that are not part of the rework. For example, Hash and Guardian. And one of the reasons I think this is because they randomly did these unannounced changes to Hash Ashin on Global Labs. And the weird thing about it is there are changes in the tooltip, but they don't actually function yet. So Prime Purge on Succession Hash. You know the skill, right? And actually the ranged float that they do that's kind of fast. A little side dash, throw it out, side dash again.
Yeah.
Has the Prime version in the tooltip now has frontal guard. But the frontal guard doesn't actually appear when you're on Global Labs, but it says it. They also removed the knockdown on Quicksand, which is at the end of the long, like, giant AoE slow. And in the tooltip, they added knockdown in PvP to the second hit of Descent on both Prime Descent and Absolute Descent, which is pretty nuts if that actually ends up changing. That's like a wildly powerful change if that actually happens. Those changes are on Global Labs, Fjorn. I looked at them myself, but they don't actually function. So I don't know if they're actually going to come to the game or not. But those changes are on Global Labs in the tooltips. Descent KD is insane. I like can't even... It's so crazy to me.
I can't imagine that being a thing. But it will be, probably.
Yeah. I don't know if Guardian had any hidden changes either, but if that ends up getting changed, I could definitely see
other changes for other classes.
Yeah, other changes for other classes.
List.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good evidence to support it. I mean, they did say they weren't, like, not doing changes to them at all. They said they'd be doing, like, normal balance changes to them.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, maybe that's just their way of like sneaking in some rework changes without actually putting them on the class.
It needs to
list.
happen, I think, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
some of the
in
stuff.
some cases,
Yeah.
yeah. Not massive reworks.
Right, just little tweaks.
Just
I mean, of course, like balance changes always need to happen.
yeah. So yeah,
All
I
right.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yarr card minigame. Now this, I didn't even read this yet. So we're going to be reading this and learning about this together right now. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
They added a card minigame. Yarr has been added. It's a new type of minigame that allows you to compete with your opponent by turning the knowledge of Black Desert into cards based on classic rules of poker, and it says yachting, which is being on a boat, but I think it means Yahtzee. I think it means Yahtzee.
No, it's yachting.
The prime rules of poker and yachting. I think it means Yahtzee. Basically, Yarr takes turns drawing cards within a set number of turns with an opponent, creating a category of your choice and accumulating points. In particular, in order to win the battle with other adventurers, strategy and luck to strategically compose the presented category are important, so you'll be able to feel the pressure of hand and psychological warfare when exchanging cards. In addition, a connection with the knowledge of Black Desert, more various cards will be used in the future. Therefore, you can use your knowledge to create your own card deck to strengthen your strategy, and you can customize the minigame yourself because the target category is more diverse and you can choose it for yourself. So people are saying this is going to replace Duel for Spots. You're going to have to Yarr for Spot. Which I'm cool
That's
with.
awesome.
I'm cool with that.
Wait a minute.
So here's some.
Let me
I'm going to share you
think
some of
here.
these screenshots of what like the cards look like. I'm putting this in the Discord chat.
Oh God.
You can start the game from the escape menu.
Why did they say you can build your own deck? Is it like just the faces on there?
I'm not
that what
sure.
they're-
I don't know. But the yards consist of sun, flower, star, and sun, moon, star, and flower patterns. Which I mean, it seems kind of like just normal playing cards, and the numbers go from 1 to 6. So they have an A in there as well.
Yeah.
So I guess it's
I was
gonna
gonna
be
say,
some
is
face
this-
cards.
This is gonna end up being like a Magic the Gathering type thing initially.
So
Get-
here's
get
kind of
some
the
mad
idea.
poo out there.
The Yarr game is a form of drawing cards, writing your score, and completed category. When it is your turn, you can draw cards as many times as possible through draw cards. At this time, click to save the card you want to save and then draw the remaining cards. 2. When the selected category is completed, the score that can be recorded is displayed on the left side of the game board. After completing the category you want, you can click score to record your score in the category. 3. Play with your opponent until all categories are complete and the adventurer with the highest score wins. So score points equal to the sum of the number. 1, 2, 3, and 6. There's 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, doubles, full house, Yarr, short straight, long straight, and chance. So
There's a Yarr.
there's a Yarr. I mean, if you could bet silver.
That would be pretty interesting.
If you could bet some silver, I don't know. It doesn't talk about rewards or anything. So I don't know what the rewards are. But
In-game casino, here we come.
they said there's going to be a ranking system originally when they announced this. So I guess
I want a card dealer outfit.
Yeah, a card dealer outfit would be kind of cool.
And as like one of the emotes, he's like constantly shuffling. Just shuffling, doing shuffle tricks. It's gotta happen.
Yeah. Isn't this just Yahtzee?
Kind of sounds like it.
Yacht is different than Yahtzee. Yacht is its own game. So it's not boating.
It's not.
Maybe they should have just said yacht though, not yachting. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, there's that. We have a new card game. They're also making Naru equipment a little bit better across the board. So when people are questing, they become a little bit more powerful, I guess. They're changing some of the UI stuff.
What was wrong with it? With the Naru gear?
I guess it just wasn't scaling like well. I'm not too sure, but they're just making it like better for. I guess if you get stuck in Naru gear for a while when PvEing, I don't know. I'm not. I guess it's
What, grinding stars in at 246 AP wasn't good enough.
no, not Tuvala, Naru.
Oh,
The like before you have Tuvala stuff.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and
So
then
when they basically, if they don't get their gear up before they graduate, kind of thing.
Well, not even before they grab. Before so you start. Have you done seasons, Nayashi?
No,
yeah,
he
you do
has
Naru. You have the Naru gear initially. You get that free through the questing, and then you can exchange them or you
Yeah,
enhance
so
up, and
I
then you
guess-
exchange them for.
I guess some
Tuvala.
people take a little bit longer than they anticipated to get to the part where they exchange for Tuvala, so they're buffing the stats on these a little bit. So if you're running around with
Interesting.
this gear early on in the game, it's going to be a little bit better.
Like I had the Naru gear for like maybe a day.
Also, I hate to be a living alarm clock, but we do only have 5 minutes left.
Oof.
What do you mean we only have 5 minutes left?
What?
Do we?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
What's in 5 minutes?
We
Tournament?
have to go to do the tourney thing, don't we?
No,
Didn't you say
you're
it
an hour
was,
early. Dude. You're an hour early. It's 1:30 PST.
Oh, I thought it was 12:30.
Yeah, 1:30 PST.
Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
we're good. We're
For
good.
some reason, I thought that picture you sent me said 12:30.
Oh, okay. No, we'll be done with a little bit of time to spare. And then they made it so you can save some of the colors in the color palette. And then I think that's kind of it, though. Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, the data mine. Right.
Yeah, just a brief touch on it for people who maybe don't browse Reddit, because that place is awful. And I say this as someone who uses it daily.
I love it. So the data mine is I don't know. I never understand how to read these, but here's some skill names and stuff. It's attack, skill, avoid, attack, cloud, high jump. It looks like a martial arts type class that's going to be themed around being an ape. Do I have that right, Rez?
Well,
What did you
I
gather
think
from
ape
this?
is a bit disrespectful. So
Is it?
they're coming out with the standard Sun Wukong class.
Okay. Is he not an ape? Or is he a monkey?
Technically, he's a demon monkey.
Oh, he's a demon monkey. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Then my
I forget
apologies.
what technical.
Well, Sun Wukong, I think in mythology, is like a demigod, is he not?
From my understanding, he's a demon monkey.
Is he?
I could be wrong.
So is fake
Oh.
uni a playable class now? Basically. Okay, so martial artist type class that uses staff. People are saying that that's what this they're comparing to the original from last year's Calpheon Ball during Christmas. Remember we got this image teaser.
Right.
That has to do with that, which that actually finally makes sense. We've had
Yeah.
3 classes come out since we saw this. Well, I guess 2 because Nova was already announced. But yeah, I don't know, that aren't related to this, so kind of interesting. Now I want to ask you guys about the Calpheon Ball real quick before we go to comments. What can they announce? So Calpheon Ball is going to be December 11th, and then they announced there's a Calpheon Ball Part 2 in March.
Mm-hmm.
What could they possibly announce? Like, what is the plan for that ball on the 11th for people to not be pissed? Because I went through, let me read through this for you guys. So now remember, Reslar, I was optimistic about the changes because they had release dates for the first time ever. That
Right.
at least that I could remember. Like normally Calpheon Ball, they don't actually give release dates. So I felt optimistic, and they started off pretty strong. They started doing all these quality of life fixes. The first couple things on the list were added, and then the reworks became priority, and they basically canceled everything, right?
Yep.
So let me go through some of this stuff real quick that they have announced in the last year that we either got or didn't get, okay? Instance grind spots. Don't have them. Mansions coming. We just got them 2 weeks ago. Dungeon Global release July 21st. That happened. Second part of the dungeon July 29th, and then we got it shortly thereafter. That happened. New mini card game with ranked ladder just hit Global Labs this week. Now keep in mind these were announced like a year ago or whatever, like or in the early summer. August 19th, 2 new RBF maps, Northern Plains of Serendia and Valencia. Line battles use points to give buffs to allies for Serendia. Valencia will be like Conquest Wars. Didn't come. Camo Gillies won't work in RBFs. That happened and led to Gillies being changed permanently, which is kind of nice. Terror of the Deep Sea, August 26th. Didn't happen. PvP seasons with exclusive PvP content. Did not happen. Potential PvP only gear. Didn't happen. Arena of Solaire ranked 1v1, 2v2 arenas. Didn't happen. 10v10 crew battles with Champion League tournament. Ways to meet offline for future tournaments. Didn't happen. Thorntree Castle, they just announced that it was canceled. And then
Edge, dude, rip.
I know they announced some like the rules for the 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3 ranking and what the arena would be like, but that never happened. They announced the gear score potential for the first PvP season. Didn't happen. You can get special titles including Arsha skins and other rewards. Obviously didn't happen. Tier 10 unicorn never happened. Trading revamp never happened. Black Star raid never happened. Elvia Calpheon recommended 290 AP plus 340 for Marine never happened. Rain affecting your AP DP more in Hadoom server never happened. Buffing green items to close the gap for players with lesser gear never happened. Calpheon monsters will be more unique in Elvia than Serendia, but obviously we didn't get that. They promised to change the weather effects so they're not so depressing in Hadoom, never happened. And then obviously the character reboots, which when they announced them,
Whoa, hold on that last one. That technically did happen.
No, it didn't.
Didn't
No,
they
it
change
didn't.
it slightly?
So they changed the transition effect, and after the transition effect
that's what it
change,
was.
yeah,
Yeah,
after the
sorry.
transition effect change, they announced this. So they actually did the transition effects before this announcement. And then they announced that they were going to change the weather effects to not be so depressing. Never happened.
You're right.
And then the character reboots, which they said that they were going to start releasing in like August, September on Global Labs, and then come to live servers in October. Obviously never happened. And then the storytelling and better, like, you know, whatever never happened. Tier 5 pets never happened. The 2 days of Node War with 50 player caps that they announced originally for the original Node War system never happened. Yeah, like Tier 5 pets never happened. The blue battlefield, there's been no updates, no new life skill content. Yeah. So
Yeah, you're convincing me to come off my break.
none of that stuff. I want you to stay playing New World. I think that you're having a good time in New World.
I've been on D2R.
You better not have been. You're a New World player now. You do not play anything except for New World. Do you understand? You're a New World
I can only
player.
dupe so much gold.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So like none of that stuff happened. So here's my question to you again. Let me pose the question again. Now that you saw that, knowing they already announced that stuff. I mean, I don't know what the options are. They could either re-announce that stuff and give new release dates, which I think will piss people off. They could just announce totally different stuff, which I think would piss people off. I don't even know. Like, what could they possibly announce at this ball that's not going to upset people? I have what I think it could be, but what do you guys think?
They release everything right before the ball. That's it. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
No, they're pretty much shot themselves in the foot with this. I think we had this discussion that it was good for them to announce the dates, but this could backfire heavily on them if they don't follow through.
Yeah.
I think we had this discussion.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be one of those things that just backfires really hard. I understand from a development standpoint probably what happened. They looked at what everyone was complaining about and whatnot, and PvP reworks became the top priority, and they just shelved everything else. That's what happened.
Yep.
But they didn't really make an announcement saying that nothing else was happening this year to kind of like give everyone's expectations or set everyone's expectations for what's going to happen with all their previous announcements. So that's a communication issue.
Rez?
Well, they're fucked.
They're fucked. I think most likely they're probably just fucked. Here's the only thing I could see kind of working, all right? And I don't even think it's realistic or going to happen. But here's the only thing I could see working. So one thing I do think is going to happen, I think on December 11th, which is a Friday night, Saturday morning. In Korea, it'll be Saturday, I believe. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not wrong on that. Yeah. So Friday night for us, Saturday morning in KR. It'll probably start at midnight, so I guess it will be technically Saturday morning. I believe that they will announce that the reworks are going to be released on the following Wednesday on live servers, so December 15th. That's my guess. I think they're going to announce that they've done enough work. They're going to continue doing more stuff and make changes, but people want to play the buffed classes, and it's going to come on December 15th. That's number one. I think in order for them to not have people as pissed, obviously people are going to be pissed no matter what, but to like kind of weather the storm a little bit, they need to announce like, hey, the reason why we're doing a second ball in March is because that second ball is going to announce totally new content. But we are going to release from this ball going forward every 2 weeks all of the promised content that we said from a year ago. Like every 2 weeks you're going to get one of these things that we promised and we didn't deliver on. That's the only and they actually do it. Like every week we get a new patch where something new comes out. That's the only possible thing that could happen that people aren't going to be pissed about. If they go, hey, winter region's going to come in the summer and we have a new class coming next month, I think people are going to flip their shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. If they just ignore everything that they said last year and just, like you said, say new region, new class, that's not going to be good. I think what you laid out was probably the best approach. Release the reworks around shortly after the ball and start pumping out the content that they promised before they do anything else. I think that's it. That's all they can do. Otherwise, they're just going to piss off a bunch of players and players will start dipping.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to see that they're not going to follow up on their promises, like, has unfortunately been plaguing this game for a while.
This Wukong Datamine doesn't have me encouraged. I'll just say that. I will just say that. I mean, if they announce a new class, the problem is like, because the reworks have taken so long, even if it has no effect on the way they do development, there is going to be an inevitable feeling that all of this content got delayed and the reworks took so long because you had a whole team designing a new class instead of like fixing the things that need to be fixed.
Yep, that's exactly how people are going to feel.
It's just a bad look. It's just a bad look. They can't do it. I don't think they can do it. They can announce a new class in March if they give us a bunch of new content and the reworks are out, but they can't announce a new class in December. I really think they can't. People are going to be too pissed.
So, bets.
My bets are they announce a new class and everyone,
everyone
gets pissed.
Wrestler.
What are we betting? Sorry?
What are they going to announce? Stop playing Ark, man, and pay attention.
What are they? Well, they're gonna announce a new class, obviously. I don't know. They're probably gonna have some ideas that come out of left field that nobody cares about, i.e., rock climbing that won't actually do anything.
Oh my god,
or airships. They'll probably cancel something. God knows what it is. Let's see. What else will they announce?
They'll probably show the list that everything Frosty just went over is all canceled.
Yeah.
No, I doubt they cancel much. They'll probably cancel one thing. What will it be though? Because I would have put money on the card game before this global
fucking
labs
arenas,
thing.
dude.
Yeah,
If
they'll
they
cancel arenas,
and I'm gonna be
These
so.
No, there's no
these-
way they cancel arenas.
Dude, they're such pussies. When
They
it comes
might.
to
What
the
they might do is
PvP.
they might cancel the 10v10 thing. I could see them canceling that.
That's
in
what
favor.
That's probably more. People are more excited about that than other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think no matter what they do, they're fucked. The only way they could make me happy is if they announce that they're bringing Shadow Arena back to the game.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I will forgive everything else in that ball if they say that they're bringing Shadow Arena back, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, they fucked up pretty hard. We knew they started off strong, like you said, Frosty. They were going strong. They had us, on the ropes, thinking that they were gonna be.
They had us in the
pulling
first half.
through.
Not
They
gonna
did.
lie.
We were
But
like, damn,
they
dude, they're
fucking
doing it.
fumbled so hard.
Yeah.
They fumbled so hard at the end.
Well, they just
And it's if you consider the reworks in their fucking direction where they wanted to like get the classes back to being somewhat relevantly balanced, I guess is the attempt. I get it, but they should have said something and communicated. Listen, we feel that this is more important because of all the players' feedback and everyone quitting. So we're going to put other things on hold for right now, and we will resume those after. They didn't communicate that though. So I think a lot of people are just upset
or going to be upset this December.
Yeah, I don't know. They're fucked. They're fucked no matter what they do because they did exactly what they needed not to do, which was give us a whole bunch of dates, which was awesome, and then not follow through with any of them. And I totally understand that they delayed things to focus on the reworks, which is, as far as they're concerned, players' most wanted like thing, and that's totally understandable. But you haven't delivered on anything. And I think what we're seeing here, like with this card game coming out, for instance, is like them desperately trying to hit at least one of their like other things.
It's
Well,
probably the
they did
easiest thing on
say-
the list.
They did say when they announced all the delays, they said that the card game is still going to come and that the Sikrakia is still going to come, but that everything else is delayed, supposedly.
Mm.
Wait, they did say that?
They did. When they did that first dev post that talked about how they're full focusing on the reworks, they said that the card game is still going to come out, the Node War changes, and Sikrakia. Now, the card game still took way longer than I think they thought. Oh, and the mansions. But I don't know. It's weird. So, Riv posted a link and said, I can't even clip the entirety of the 5-minute list of things that never happened.
Oh man, that's bad.
Anyway, so that's that. I don't know. Calpheon Ball the 11th. We'll see what happens. I'm still encouraged at least by the grab changes and stuff like that, and I'm pretty hyped for the reworks, even though I know everyone's mostly angry. But
What are they gonna? What are they? Let's play a fun thought experiment. What are they gonna release? That's the thing that's completely out of left field that no one asked for.
at the ball,
Yeah, because there's always at least one, right? There's always at least one.
I think they're gonna put a third sort of vehicle that floats around in the sky that we
Oh
can
my
only
god.
that we can a fourth that we can look at but not interact with. It's like, so right now we have the weird griffins, we have the hot air balloon, and then we have the airships. So they're gonna add a fourth thing. There's gonna be like a spaceship
they're
up
gonna
in the
announce
sky.
video remastered.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know what else they could do.
The even more remastered. Oh man, shit. What are they gonna do? What could they possibly do? I think they'll just this is what they'll announce: some BDO Classic. They're gonna release BDO Classic.
Oh god.
They're gonna go the WoW route.
I mean, honestly, wouldn't surprise me, but also, God, people would be so mad.
Yeah, I'm I think I'm over supporting any of the classic stuff. The problem with the classic stuff on these games, I don't know, man. Like the one I really liked was the StarCraft one because it was $15, so it was like you could justify the price a little bit.
Yeah.
But they also added a ton of new features and completely like changed the resolution and made observing like professional matches a million times better. So there was like a lot of actual benefits to it, but all of these other ones are just fucking annoying to me. I don't know. I don't like it. And like everyone's doing it, which also just means like no new actual games are coming out from all these developers. It's tilting. I hate the classic thing, dude. I just hate it. And dude, the idea to me, did Burning Crusade cost money? The Burning Crusade Classic? I can't remember. Did they charge for that? Or if you, how did that work?
I have no idea. I didn't play.
I
the
have no
classics.
idea either, honestly.
The idea to me that they're going to go through these classic players are going to go through and play every release again is just actually insane. I don't know. It's just so weird to me. But like with an MMO, it just feels weird too. No, I would not play a classic BDO. I'm sorry. I don't care. No matter what era they send it back to, I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't support it. It'd be stupid.
Yep.
Reslar might play a classic Shadow Arena though.
Oh yeah,
Dude, you
he
bet
would
your
definitely.
ass.
He'd definitely play a Shadow Arena anything at this point, as long as
I
it
mean-
was built into the game.
I don't know. I might play a classic BDO, and as long as it's not a complete cash grab. But it probably wouldn't take over as like my main MMO. Like my main game would probably still just be like retail BDO. I don't know.
How on earth would it not be a complete cash grab though? Like
I
it's
mean,
just free if it's just free
every
to play.
classic is a complete cash grab in a way
Yeah.
because it's just trying to prey on your nostalgia, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, all right. Comments. You ready?
Yep.
All right, let me find these real quick. Let's see. See if there's anything we got to delete. Episode 131, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, here's one. This one, report. Nope, that's just a shy. We could leave that in there. Okay. Here we go. All right, so for those of you who do not know or are new to the show or whatever, whenever at the end of every episode, we read through the comments from the previous episode. So if you guys want to interact with us, comment, yell at us, complain, tell us we're wrong, correct us. We're happy to learn new information. Share it with us. Low Pork Chop says, Lamal, these reworks are so Awakening focused that it's comical. He's not wrong. It is very, very, very Awakening focused.
Yeah.
Hopefully that changes a little bit, but yeah, right
I don't
now
know if
not
it's
looking good.
I don't know if it's comical or sad. It's kind of leaning towards sad.
Yeah, it's weird. I wonder why. I really wish I could understand why. If it has something to do with, like, do they think that Suck is better than Awakening across the board, or like are they stuck in old feedback? Maybe they're so backlogged on like feedback emails that they're reading the feedback from like
They're still looking at 2018 feedback.
no
from the
like
SA4 guard changes.
after Succession came out, like they're probably looking at like summer 2021 emails still, like, oh, okay, Succession does too much, so we'll just keep buffing Awakening. They're just like so bad. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're definitely not giving Suck the same love that they're giving Awakening for most of the classes. Soul Volume says, still surprises me after all this time, the player base / community expect PA to have common sense and actually take the time to really fix the game issues the best they can, etc., but they don't even play their own game. Life comes at you fast. I never understand. I don't know. To play your own game thing is like, here's the reason why I don't really like the argument, the play your own game thing, and I'm kind of tired of hearing it, is like half the people that argue about class balance sound like they don't play the game. So it's like
That's fair. That's a
it's
fair
like
argument.
it's just like such a easy, like lame thing to say, I feel like at this point. Magnus Five Cream says reworks aren't done yet, just waiting for Kaffers to go down to 1 mil in evasion to get buffed. It's coming. Also says, gulping these nuts. Context, last week I asked what Pokemon was in my profile picture. Okay. Ali Speed says, I like how Frosty notes that Reslar is recently overusing the word pog. That was so random. The Awkward Ninja says,
That was pretty not pog of you, Frosty.
it was not pog of me, dude. Not pog of me.
Not pog at all.
The Awkward Ninja says, after he gets Sleet Step or Stigma iframe, he's just going to focus on complaining about Suck instead of enjoying Awakening. You know it. Also, Stub Arrow RP animation really is the new #TP is reactable meme all over again. It is pretty quick. Finally, Corpse Storm's damage is garbage. People already outpot Undertaker, and now Corpse Storm is another extender that does no damage. If they wanted it to be actually useful, it would need damage or a debuff, as Frosty said. The niche it was used in was hard-reading block jumps, since it's slow as Reslar said. A lot of the Discord Zerkers are complaining they got rid of the wrong grab. Rooting is also really bad a lot of the time. Edit.
All right, who?
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Edit could definitely see adding a prime skill to a lot of classes if that is on the menu to fill out some of the Suck classes that are lacking depth. Like I think Suck Zerkers could definitely use a little something for a protected skill, maybe from Prime Wrath of the Beast or something. Edit 2, if they rework Resists, I am never gonna cheat on BDO again with other MMOs. Edit 3, originally Recovery Centers gave you an extra 25% HP on spawn, stacking to 100%. You used to spawn at 1 HP otherwise, which was fun with the lower / no spawn protection of the time. I didn't even know that. That must be way back in the day, dude.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
To comment on the beginning part of this guy's post,
Mhm.
you know, if they would just had the quiver, I would be okay. You know, it would make me feel so much better if I knew I was actually grabbing an arrow from an actual quiver.
I'm going to defend Nayashe in this regard with the he will only complain about suck instead of enjoying awakening. I think that that's still fair because so I reroll a lot, and I would definitely not feel the need to reroll as much if I felt like I could enjoy both specs of the one class that I play in like all aspects of the game. So I think it's totally fair to be like, yeah, I wish the other kit was also good, even if one of the two kits is good. So because it's fun to be able to swap back and forth without having to like full reroll. You know, I don't know. At least that's how.
Well, I mean, it helps you, like switch it up, like you do. You know, you can always play something else. And on top of that, who wants to, just pick the class or the kit, and that is the best, and that's all they will ever want to play. Like, why don't you want a little bit of diversity? Like,
yeah.
Succession was more powerful than Awakening, and it was actually fun and whatnot. There were some disadvantages to Awakening originally, before they buffed everything up. It just didn't have the damage output. You had to combo in order to kill people, and even then it was lackluster. You had some of the little bit more protections here and there, and better stamina management, but you would deal with that by having like more burst potential and definitely kill potential in combos with Succession. Then they buffed a whole bunch of stuff on Awakening, giving it far more damage output, and it has all the other aspects that it has better. So it's like, why wouldn't you want Succession buffed in that kind of situation?
Yeah.
So
all right.
it's not that I would be like, oh, I want to play Succession now. Like, it's not like that.
So Riven says, LOL, that's funny because Frosty just told the Mystics to stop complaining about suck rework and just enjoy Awakening. So one, it's a joke, and two, there's a line where like the complaints are so outlandish that it's starting to like, it gives me the vibe that you never really liked the class to begin with. And it's only in those times where it's like, oh, maybe like the class isn't for you. Because on one hand, it's like, damn, I wish this was protected or whatever. But on the other hand, it's like, if you hate everything about the class, like, oh, I hate the way this feels, this sucks, this doesn't have protection, I don't like this doesn't move here, I can't do this, it's like, then you kind of just don't like anything on the class. And in those situations, I do think you should probably reroll. But wanting both of your specs to be good, I definitely think is totally fair. And also, when I say just enjoy Awakening, you know I'm being sarcastic, but that's fine. Fitzgood says, there's no denying grabs are very strong, but I believe ranged grabs are way too strong and have almost zero outplayability, especially when the ranged grabs are on classes that are very strong without them. Lawn, Sage, Nova, my idea is to make ranged grabs blockable by a frontal guard, but still land on super armors. Example, you can still grab a warrior sitting in Q block, but if you land it behind them, that way a Lawn, Sage, Nova can't zoom across the map, just grab you before they render without obvious reasons. The grabs wouldn't be obsolete, but instead will not be as broken straightforward in PvP. Yeah, I mean, we kind of know the direction they're going now anyway, but I'm not opposed to the idea of like having to wrap around someone for the grab. Now, obviously, some of the classes like a Guardian can't do that because they're not fast like those classes you named, so it'd have to be like pretty limited. But I don't know. It's an alright idea. Dreadspark. In Valencia, the tank better have Dines, just saying.
Yeah, really.
Clip it and send it. He linked a YouTube clip and said, quote, I've seen the Futu, end quote, Reslar.
Oh, I think that's when I was lagging out, and I came back for just a second and said, I've seen the future, and then I instantly cut back out again. I went back and listened to that part just to see what it sounded like on your end.
J.U. Lin says, some DK player never fails to amaze me at how comical they can be. Adele Monette Rivera says, removing resistances is a lot of work for PA admins and devs. If they actually wanted to remove /rework resist, it should be mentioned in the Heidel/Calpheon Balls. It is better to buff resistances and remove the 60% resistance cap in PvP. 100% resist should be doable in PvP oriented game. Let's just forget these remove resistance things. It's not going to happen. Well, bad news for you, Adele. No, they didn't remove resistances. They definitely didn't buff them either. Spectral says, caps should be what old and new trial gear are. Enough to fight, enough to kill, but you can have an actual fight if played right. Like, see, I think he's referring to war caps, right? Like Siege and Node war caps.
Probably, yeah.
Share my feeds says, stop talking about SA block. I don't want my Nova nerfed. JJ Carver says, so I'm enjoying the podcast as usual, and boom, you guys go off and read the Suck Sork poem. Cue song, Hello Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again. Confex says, longest comment section. And then Dr. Mahara says, came back to the game after a 2-month break, and what better way to catch up than hear you guys rant over the current state of things. I'm happy for all the changes, just a little bummed that Mystic changes are just meh, especially for Suck Mystic, which is my main. Am also loving Corsair. Booted my Hash, aw, poor Hash, and tagged her for my Mystic. Sage is still my PvE main. You have like 4 classes. What classes are you playing here? You love your Hash, Corsair, Mystic. Okay, Sage is still my PvE main grind, though. Also, Frosty, I did play Lost Ark Russia during the break from BDO, and it's a great game. You're right when you said long-term, the PvP will feel jaded and does have a lot of room to grow. It's exactly what happened to Jaesung, one of the top Korean PvPers who moved from Lost Ark to BDO lols. Regarding the classes in Lost Ark, I too was interested in some classes you were. The same classes you were, Arcana, etc., but it's no biggie. I actually happen to like other classes better after trying Arcana. Looking forward to see you guys in Lost Ark, and Reslar, you should try Lost Ark, and I'm 100% positive you're going to love the PvP. The Destroyer would be a fun class for Reslar, but since we don't have it, Scrapper is a good option too. Alright, talk to you later.
100% guarantee. Is that a money back guarantee?
That sounds something like that, yeah.
Wonder how much money I get if I don't like it.
I think you'd have fun with it. I was considering playing. I wanted to play this clip for you guys, but I don't know if it's too much. But it was an interesting. The reason I liked the clip is because it reminded me so much of what I hear all the time in BDO, and I thought that you guys would, if you guys could indulge me here. I'm gonna stream this on Discord so you can hear it live.
Okay.
And I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this clip, and you guys tell me what you think or where you've heard this before. Okay. Nayasha, you here?
Yeah. I'm here.
All right. Here we go. I'm gonna play this. Hop into the stream. Is it streaming?
It is not.
Oh.
No.
In Discord or on your
in Discord? Here we go. There we go. Now it is, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, have a listen to this. And now again, I played this the other day, and of course, the first thing that happens is like, that guy's a shitter. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But it was an interesting. He's just going through talking about different the tier list of most popular classes in Korea, and then he talks about PvP in this 30-second clip, and I thought it was interesting and familiar. Here we go.
And in terms of PvP, current scene and PvP, not that the system is bad, it just the class balance doesn't really exist in PvP. I just want to let you guys know about that. I know you guys are going to be entering into the honeymoon phase, but that is just reality. 7 out of 10 posts that are upvoted in Korea are about their worries, whether there is even a development team for PvP. Is PvP abandoned? Is PvP dead? Like, can we get some, developers up in here? It's just...
So he goes on, if you listen to the whole clip, he goes on to say, there's no, they're not adding new maps. They're haven't changed the way PvP works, and balance isn't being done for long stretches. And it was just interesting because I hear it a lot. That's all.
Was he talking about BDO?
No, he's talking about Lost Ark. But doesn't it sound like BDO?
Sorry,
Jesus Christ.
I came in after I was helping out with something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So I mean, that's what people complain about all the time with BDO. But yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it's time MMOs just stop doing PvP entirely.
Yeah, maybe it should be focused more to the console players.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, the Musassin says, okay, let me just put this out here. When I make comments on videos, it's usually in response to what was said in that video. So my D-Byte comparison to long grab was due to something Reslar said in that video. Okay. Now you know what the issue is, Miss Hassan, for that is like at least for me personally, I can't speak for Restar. Sometimes, especially because last week we didn't we do the long comment section, so we're delayed. It's hard to remember everything that we said the week before.
Yep.
Like especially like just random things. So if you remind us or put in quotes like what we said, so we know that it's a response to that, then it would be a lot easier. He says, now the reworks. I fucking love the reworks. There are downsides as every other class has them as well. PA, don't fucking nerf Fiery Crevice unless you're giving us something in return. All in all, I love these changes. Chase change surprised me, although it's sad you can't get increase from skills, add-ons, and calcs. It's still an overall good change. With that being said, Frosty, when are you going to invite me to the podcast? Should I donate 10 gifted subs? Ha ha ha, lol. I'm serious though, lol.
20.
Reslar is our guest list manager, so ask him.
That's a blatant lie, but yeah. Also, I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but if we start just inviting people on the podcast just because they asked us to in the comments or
It would
like
start getting
in our
messy.
community Discord, yeah, we do it for one person. We have to do it for everybody, right? Is kind of the problem. So
Unless they do 100 subs.
Plus, you're a Musa. Murderkind says, just kidding. But Murderkind says, weenies stronger together. Higher Alencia says,
Like, wait, what?
Higher Alencia says, my comment about the dude bitching about Guardian Corsair was just because it felt like he droned on a tangent for a bit about other aspects of the classes. Notably, he talked about how Guardian slow passive shit's whack. I know you know. I was just a ton more interested in the class he played, not Guardian, my bad. Okay, I see what he was referring to the I think Raiden, the comment about Raiden from a while back. But yeah, I mean, people try to use examples, and sometimes classes feel targeted in the examples, but I know they don't mean for it. It's just, I don't know, stuff like that. Anyway.
No, we intend to target them.
Alexandra Ogzier says, I think DK has had a good year. All the quality of life changes have been good so far, and the rework looks pretty cool. The cluster despair change will be weird to get used to, but the only things I've accomplished with that skill are kill stealing and T3 add-on on buffing. Also, why didn't they just get rid of T1 easy instead of hard? If they cap T2 on live, they really need it to be beyond T1 hard. Just seems lame. Yeah, the caps are interesting because KR removed them entirely, and ours were just like set in a basic way. And the actual caps, the gear caps got removed entirely for everyone, and then KR reverted even the player caps. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, Node War is just another area where I honestly think, and Reslar, maybe you could elaborate on this in your opinion, but I think it's time that they just set the rules kind of a little bit different for every region, because I don't think KR wants what NA and maybe even EU wants something different than NA too. Like, it kind of just needs to be different for the regions. I think if KR likes
solution,
if KR likes 100 man, like, fine. I don't think most of NA likes 100 mans. So
yeah,
maybe we shouldn't. Maybe it should just be different.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I've always been confused by the idea that like we have to make everything the same, like what they used as an excuse to pay to win our game even more than it was the globalization of everything from a couple years ago that they said they wanted to do. It's like, why? There's really different cultures that result in different like communities that result in different games. It doesn't make sense to make them all the same. But I don't know. It's certainly easier for the devs if everything is all the same. A lot less work.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
It's definitely less work. I know it's probably hard. It's just, I don't know. Like, if they revert it, are you gonna be? If they go back to 100 mans, are you gonna be bummed about that? Or are you cool? How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about 100 mans?
Yeah, if they go back to everything being 100 man.
I mean, I'll be pretty bummed. I've always, at least for a while now, advocated that everything should be 50-man node wars and sieges. So I think that would be a step back if we were to go do that. But I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Someone just pinged me. Can they optimize this game first? I was in Siege today with 30 FPS. Such a great game and experience. Well, that's one of my arguments for why I think they need to have caps. I don't think having 400 people in the same area is a fun experience as far as frame rate and lag and stuff. Alexandra Or said, oh no, sorry, I read that one. Salvation says, do you think PA will ever release a Black Star offhand? I wonder if it would be balanced with Kudum already being the dedicated PvE offhand. Maybe take the exact Kudum stats or even reduce DP and adding some extra monster DR. Yeah, I don't know. I think that you're more likely to see like... I actually have no idea. I don't
Probably
know.
more likely to see Dead God related weapons and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There was like a data mine of the name, and then someone made like there's like that fake ass stats of one, but it wouldn't make any sense. I don't know. Maybe, but it's probably way down the road. I don't think so for a long time. Illusion and Confusion says, "Oh my fucking god, yes! Ranked arenas or I may quit." And then Something Void said, "Can you guys please ask the intern to do something about the light and Elvia spots?" I loathe it to the point where going to grind the Elvia spots has become much more of a chore I have to do because otherwise grinding somewhere else makes it feel like I'm missing on gains. P.S. I solo grind. The shitty light is giving me headaches. At least give us an option in settings where we can have normal light there too. I too want some normal light there really badly.
We already announced that kind of by saying all the things they missed.
Yeah. The green lighting is awful. It makes it like when I miss grinding Star's End just because of like the atmosphere is way nicer. Like Secrea I kind of like, but it also has a cave vibe, so it's nice to like grind out. Like it's probably one of the reasons I really like going to Turos too. It's just like grassy and there's sunlight out there. I feel
Yeah.
Right.
The green gloominess does wear on your soul after a while. And that's it. That's our comments. And that'll be our show as well, Reslar. If you want to close us out, I am gonna stay live because we do have this tournament coming up here soon.
Yep.
And yeah, Rez, if you can actually DM me your character name, I got to send it to the people who are gonna be inviting us.
DM, okay.
Yeah, the character name that you're gonna be on. And yeah, if you also close us out, Rez. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and for listening. And then for the people who are sticking around for the tournament, I am just going to take like a 5-minute break, and then I'll be back, and then we'll start getting ready for the 3v3 guild tournament. Rezlar and I will be watching it live. Rezlar will be casting. I'll be just being next to him. And that's all.
How much am I getting paid for this, by the way?
You are going to get I think a 1K gold bar and a free trip to Vel.
Oh, damn. That's pretty
nice.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, I guess I need to do the outro first, and then we can talk more about the tournament. But yeah, thanks everybody so much for listening. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. We'll try to start thinking about getting guests to come on again since we have gone a couple weeks now without one. Need to try not to fall back into that habit of always not having a guest that we fell into a while back. But
well, to be fair, we made up for it with like having 17 guests.
We
on one show.
Yeah, we definitely made up for it, but we don't want to fall back in that hole again. Make sure you guys leave a comment. We read all the comments obviously at the end of every episode. Let us know what you think about the grabs, the resistances, just whatever's on your mind. Thanks again so much to the patrons as well as the subscribers and all that good stuff. And we'll catch y'all next week.
You know you're mine.